Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Yeah, it's my time, your time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Our time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no fight time, grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder.
Well, good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson, and of course with me is the cubby with the mostest, Techy Joe. How are you, darling?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you this evening?
Purely evil, half awake, and barely caffeinated. We're in deep trouble, and let's rock this.
Basically, yeah. Like you're up to cup of coffee, what, number 2, or are you still on that first one?
I am at half a cup of coffee.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Brenda. So yeah, your awake driver for the evening shall be me, and
your Dreamcaster will be me.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you. I've really not done much to it. You know, I'm a normal BRA, and off the world we go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There is that. All right. I got to take my light down. Like, it is... I don't know what happened. I think we had a power outage.
We did.
I'm just catching that, like, it had me blasted.
It had you ghosted.
Yeah, basically. Like, hi, welcome to the undead.
Yep. You know, I get called the vampire all the time. You, however, look like the vampire.
Yeah. I get moonburn, so, like, I moonburn easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Aw, Ashley's ready to enjoy the show. Oh, good God. Brenda's on day 4 not smoking. Oh, this is going to be a painful show for you to watch this evening.
Well, Brenda, I support your decision. If you choose to quit smoking, can do it for you. That's the important part. And Miss Ashley, I hear that you came through surgery yesterday. I'm glad you're doing fine. I'm glad you're healing up well. You know, you're having a gallbladder surgery. Did you get it as a necklace?
No one wants that as a necklace. Good God, no one wants that as a necklace.
Well, you know, we can hope.
I mean, like, that was not my... Well, actually, technically, talking about Ashley talking about being a little lifted off pain meds. Let me tell you, when I had mine removed, the drugs were nice. I went in, they did the ultrasound, they found the gallstones. Like, there was no question, this is my problem, and I needed emergency surgery. So this was on a Saturday night. I was scheduled for first thing Sunday morning. But no, that Saturday night, like, they came in, gave me the diagnosis, and started me on fentanyl and phenagrin.
Right. What I had asked was, did you get your gallbladder as a necklace? It's an Oriental practice that all body parts have to be buried with the body, including the ones you have removed. So some...
Like, do they polish up nice?
Yeah. I don't know. I've just seen pictures of them on, like, some of the mummies in China.
Like, I will feel bad. If, like, they polish up really nice and it's like, are you kidding me? So it is called gallstone jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
It is a thing. It's very much a thing. What? No one told me this. Okay, but I'm getting a crap ton of hematite, so I don't know what I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is kind of images. Give me images. Show me images. Ooh, okay. I'm down. I could go down with this. Like, that's kind of different. Like, if that's what I'm actually looking at,
Okay.
that's kind of cool. But yeah, apparently it can polish up really nicely. Otherwise, you just have crappy gallstones and just move on with your life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, okay.
We're
Probably.
trading information for 500, Alex.
Oh. Aw. Oh, she's had an emotional 24 hours, so we have to be nice. We have to be really nice.
Because it's going to be nice.
Yes. Oh, no gallstones. Oh. Ooh. That's a different experience. Like, okay. No. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just going to touch on this and move forward. Unfortunately, the jury was not able to work with the judge's information and had to do what the judge wanted, which was clear Rittenhouse, which is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that anyone that kept watching parts of that trial, at least, like even parts,
Right,
were showing up on that one and thinking, oh yeah, this is totally gonna go
right,
well.
right,
Like no,
right,
yeah,
yeah,
like no, there was no, no.
No, this was a shitty ass trial. The prosecution could have done a lot better. The defense was being paid for, and the judge is an idiot.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Well, and like the situation in which you're not allowed to call the defendant anything but the defendant,
Mm-hmm.
and you're referring to the other people
Mm-hmm.
as looters and rioters and not victims.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that does start to kind of alter tone.
Yeah.
And then you dig a little further and dig a little further, and basically everything. I'm sorry, I'm totally enamored with gallstone jewelry now. Anyway, I'm closing this tab. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Like, it's cool. It's cool. I'm surprised. I didn't think that would be cool, but it's cool.
Right.
But no, so yeah, it was all a farce.
Yeah, it was bullshit. It really showed the racism in our justice system. It really showed the need to change our justice system.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not even the gun charge.
Oh, it wasn't even heard. That was dismissed.
Yeah, that was dismissed. That's what I'm saying is though I think maybe that may be to the benefit of justice in terms of if he had been convicted on the gun charge, the lesser charge, of all the charges. If he had been convicted on that, it might be harder to appeal. But I'm having a very strong suspicion there's going to be a nice reversal and a new trial on appeal.
Well, we'll see.
Like, as in, like, this is a total.
Right.
This is a sham.
Yeah, and this judge needs to be moved for disbarment.
Yeah, I think he's at end of career.
Yeah.
I think it was an end of career before this trial. Like, I don't think it was a situation in which any of the things he was doing were before this trial were exactly all together.
Right.
Like, this doesn't seem like he suddenly had a partialism towards this defendant.
Right.
Something tells me he's opened a can of worms in the one situation where you don't want to open a can of worms, which is on, basically national television.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that.
Well, and Alex Jones has lost his fourth
Oh,
Sandy Hook case.
yeah. That's. I see that as going well.
Right.
I see it's going well, and for like stupid reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the stupid part.
Right.
Let me double check, because trying to keep up with all the different trials he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Refused to turn over documents related to the case.
Right.
So yeah, that's a stupid reason.
Right.
Like, that's a default judgment. That is, you effectively did not participate.
Right.
So effectively, it was the same as if he hadn't even appeared.
Right.
That's typically when you see a default judgment. That's how bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, he has made statements that he's above the law with this kangaroo court, and he isn't going to participate in it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm pretty sure he's going to have to participate now.
Well, he's going to have to. They're going to have to go back in. Literally all four, and I think there may be two more in the workings. Is going to have to go in and sue for liquidation.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and then that's probably going to be the next part of this, is whether or not he will have any assets left.
Right.
Because that's typically where, if you're in this kind of situation, you want to go next.
Right.
Is trying to move your assets as quickly as possible.
Right.
In a format, or into a form that can't be taken.
Right.
I mean, but then again, decent attorneys, he might draw this all out for a good decade or two.
Well, they're supposed to meet next year to determine damages on all four defamation cases.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to have to do liquidations. Because we know he doesn't. He may have money, but it isn't going to last him.
Well, no. And arguably, there's no clue.
Right.
On this one.
Very much no clue. Very much on ridiculous. Very much across the board. Insane to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well,
I don't know. It's weird news today.
It's different news.
Oh, yeah.
And, we're going to be, after we cover the news, we're going to be moving into talking about negotiations and relationships.
Hey, we talked about that on Friday.
Yeah.
Or Tuesday. Good God. I don't even know what day it is.
We talked a little bit about it on Tuesday. We're going to go into it and the formulations of relationships tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But then, we are getting a real estate report that Trump International Hotel of Washington, D.C. has been sold for $375 million. This, of course, is a net loss.
Well, I think they're ready to put it on the market for $375.
No, it's
has reached a deal to sell.
Yeah.
Okay, for $375. Okay, sorry. CGI Merchant Group.
Yep.
Oh, that's an investment.
Yep. We knew it was an company that was going to buy it. But, The Trump organization leased the building for the General Service Administration in 2020 and 2013 and gave it a $250 million renovation.
In 2016.
In 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, at 375 million, he leased from okay, but how much did he lease it for? Oh wow, lost more than $70 million. Like how? I know the answer. Never mind. I know the answer. So this has been on the market since 2019.
Yeah.
Ouch.
The sales price originally went lower because it originally was listed for $500 million.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You got $375 million for a hotel that should make money.
Yeah, it should. I mean, and you just remodeled? Like, good God.
Yeah.
Hello.
So it's like, really? We will probably see more Trump assets being sold off because he's trying to pay his loans. And he doesn't want Russians, loan collectors to come visit. He may lose kneecaps and become more unsteady on his feet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oy. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Yeah. It's nasty.
Yeah, so that was the old post office and clock tower.
Yep.
It's on the National Historic Record. I'm just trying to see, like, how much has he thrown into this? Just because there's the 250 million remodel.
Mm-hmm.
That's bad enough.
Right. Then he had to throw $70 million between its opening in 2016 and last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And had to inject $27 million into it. And preferred treatment from a major lender delayed payments on a $170 million loan to Aryan property, the report found.
Oh, good God.
Yeah.
So basically, he just parked some money. Like, he just basically took a massive write-down.
Right.
Yeah.
So 170 is going to have to come out of this. So you have to pay the loan off.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then
So that's 205 million left.
All right, then 70 million.
That brings us down to 135 million.
27 million.
Now I need a calculator because my brain's starting to hurt. Like, that's some big numbers. That's worse than Powerball.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, let's go back. 375 minus 70 million minus
No, 170.
Oh, minus 170. Oh. 170 million minus. What's our next number? That's down to 135. 27?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're down to 108 million.
Minus 70 million.
Okay.
Minus 250 million.
Negative $212 million. Wow. Like, that's a lot to be negative. That's a lot to be negative.
Right. What I find interesting is he's not even going to see, like, the realtor estate agent will write the check to the loan company first.
I think the ultimate quote is at the end of the article.
Okay.
Quote, people are objecting to us making so much money on the hotel, and therefore we may be willing to sell, son Eric Trump told the Wall Street Journal in 2019 when the family put the lease on the market for $500 million, which would have actually basically cut down. It would have been a net zero.
Right.
Or close to it.
Right.
To it. Well, yeah, because if you add back 125 million, it would have just been negative 87 million. So that's also put back the 70 million it lost last year. You'd be at negative 17 million.
Right.
So yeah, that's just kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's like the building externally is gorgeous. I'm just afraid of what
the internals of this building is gorgeous.
Okay, like did he actually do one well?
Yeah, his designer's done well. The
nice.
building was originally built gorgeous.
Well, that always helps. That always helps. It's just when you say things like a $250 million remodel.
Right. Well, and more expensive than that because we know he doesn't pay contractors.
Well, there you go. This is true. Well, or it could have been 250 million and no one has been paid.
Exactly.
But yeah.
All right, so these next two is your two.
Oh, the next two are my two? What?
Well, I thought we would talk about the FBI emails.
Oh yeah, that's a fun story. Yeah. Wait, I thought we did not cover those. Okay. Sorry, there was stuff we didn't get to.
Right.
All right, so yeah, and you're forgetting the slates.
The slates.
The transitions.
Oh shit. So Joe's taking this.
All right, so the FBI is acknowledging that hackers compromised its email servers and sent spam messages. That's just it's a horrible situation. So yeah. Oh, it was a software misconfiguration that allowed access to the system known as Law Enforcement Enterprise Portal to send the fake emails. Thankfully, none of what occurred actually allowed anyone to access directly personal identifiable information on the FBI's network. Doesn't mean that there aren't any issues with that, with what was available. Like, this is one of those kind of scary moments. Is they're sending spam email.
Right.
And I would just be a little worried.
I'm more than a little worried.
Well, as in, were they just sending email, which is one thing, and that sucks, and life moves on? Or were they actually accessing the email server and able to access email?
Right.
If they can access email, then there's a bigger problem.
Well, don't you have to be able to do one to get the other?
Yeah, not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. It looks like they were using a single email address.
Right.
So at most you're talking about a potential vulnerability of one account.
Right.
Which is good. That's a good thing. And if we're talking about an account that may have been, here's the thing, and what I would almost bet has happened. is that there is some god-awful stupid email address
Right.
that's like admin at, which sounds really ominous, but it isn't. Or, bounce at. That is effectively sitting there, and all it does is nothing. Usually.
Right.
And it would be a common account.
Right.
Or it could be a broadcast send account. So nothing that goes through it is really important. It has a really dumb, stupid password. Really easy to access. And that would technically be considered a software misconfiguration if you've chosen a really stupid password, like password.
What gets me is I'm even more scared of it because it's the FBI email account. Don't you think they should be using an encoder or something to this effect? Because this isn't the public email. This is the from agent to agent email. And also involves Homeland Security.
We have a lot of ideas of what we are. Movies give us a lot of ideas of like tremendous security for federal systems, for government systems, for what is available out there. The sad reality is most systems, even if they are considered highly sensitive, fundamentally at the end of the day, it's really not that much more advanced than a corporate email server.
Okay.
Now, granted, with that said, theoretically speaking, it has far more monitoring. It has far more effort taken to ensure the safety of the server, which probably accounts for, because this was a pretty quick turnaround. Right. On like, hi, this occurred, hi, it got shut down, like,
Well, here's one question, a hard question for you. Do you mean that our email account or our email is more secure than the FBI's email?
Technically, probably. That depends upon how you want to think about that answer. And because that goes back to, on one level, yes. If there is an email account that is sitting out there with a password of password, I can go ahead and tell you can strike that from your dictionary attack. Like I typically eat even clients who set their password to password. Like I will hurt you. Because that's like the easiest password to guess.
Right.
So on that front, potentially yes. When you talk about in terms, generally speaking, of knowing if someone has accessed an account and quickly shutting that down within what seems like about 24 hours. Yeah. No, I don't think we're anywhere near that secure.
Okay.
I don't think most people are that secure, and most businesses aren't that secure. If you look at our data breach, stories that filled the news, no, they don't have a clue for months or years what has gone on.
Right.
So, like, take your grain of salt. Like, would you rather have a system that had an oops that you knew about really effing quick?
Right.
Or would you rather have a system that you're less likely to have an oops, but when you do, you don't know about it for months at a time.
Speaking of data breaches, we got notice that I was in another one.
Oh, goody. Welcome to T-Mobile.
Yes, welcome to T-Mobile, the worst telecom company in the world.
they're not the worst.
Well, what is it? Calto, something like that. Maybe worse.
Suddenlink. What? I'm sorry, you said what?
Yes.
Oh, but I'm sorry, which company again?
Telco.
Telco?
Yes, this little tiny cell phone company in Canada. I think they're the worst because they charge you the old 80s rates for cell
Ew.
phones.
Ew. No. No, no.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just really sad. Like, seriously, that's their name.
Yes.
I mean, because telco is a shortened abbreviation version of telephone company.
Yeah,
But yeah, it happens.
it happens. All right. And our other news story for tonight.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. What else we got going
Wrong one.
on?
All right. This one you got into a big debate on. I found it sad that West Virginia finally got number one in something.
Yeah, so we've gotten number one in we are now the fattest state. We are the state that watches the most television. I am not the least bit shocked. I don't think anyone should. If you look at everything West Virginia is, I will call it unfortunately leading.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at that, and one of those is poverty
Mm-hmm.
and mass exodus, like
Right.
we had a negative population growth.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you start like compacting all those together,
Mm-hmm.
we're leading an opioid epidemic. We are, ranking lower and lower in education. We are like, the list goes on.
Right.
Like, feel free, take time, look it up. There's a ton. We are leading the pack at failing tremendously. And it's not surprising. It really
Right.
isn't. Because all these things interrelate.
Right.
You can still have a successful state and have one of these.
Right.
Like, you can be the you can have negative population growth and have, other things balancing you out.
Right.
But fundamentally what we've done is we've added 1 to 1 to 1 to 1, and it creates its own synergy of pulling us further and further down, because so much of this all hinges around the word poverty. Like,
Right.
what do you expect? We're the fattest state. What do you eat when you're poor?
Right.
Cheap food. What is cheap food? Cheap food predominantly involves carbs.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, sorry, it's the oldest trick in the book to stretch your dollar.
Right.
Is to take a little bit of meat and a whole lot of pasta and feed a family.
Mm-hmm.
What else are you supposed to do?
Right.
What else are you supposed to do? But to then in turn be the state with the most television watching, also not surprising.
Mm-mm.
Welcome to poverty.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to the worst state for business. Literally, there's other rankings that I find interesting because I just Googled West Virginia ranks number one in. West
Mm-hmm.
Virginia ranks at the bottom of CBSC's top states for business. West Virginia ranks as number one for the worst state in economics. And ranks show that West Virginia is number one in that categories, but West Virginia isn't bad for the other four. It ranks 23 in crime, but
We're in the middle.
right, Instead of Black Tower's financial matter rankings best of the state to retire in shows West Virginia, drum roll, number one. Yep, we're number one for retirement.
Uh-huh. Again, lots of people on fixed incomes and retirements.
Mm-hmm.
And like, pensioners, and for those that still have a pension, and people that are primarily receiving
Benefits.
Social Security.
Yep.
So, yeah. Oh, where's North Carolina at?
All right. We can easily look at North Carolina and see where it's ranking at. But, I felt this interesting. And then but then I was also looking at something that is now currently in our legislature, and they are debating whether to combine school districts. Do we really need 55 school districts with a declining population?
Oh, that's going to be And theoretically, no.
Uh-huh.
But I also think we're going to end up creating a much bigger problem.
Right.
Is that West Virginia is not the easiest state to traverse.
Right.
The old running joke is you can't get there from here.
Right.
You can be 1 mile away from something and have to drive 20 miles to get to it.
Right.
By vehicle.
Right.
If you're talking about taking a group of school kids,
right,
you can have a very long and winding school bus pickup.
Right.
The bigger and bigger the county gets.
This is more so the administration.
Oh, the actual administration part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the school board. Moving them to let's see here. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24th. And their genre in North Carolina is soap operas. Most people watch soap operas in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Well, and to answer Ashley's question, North Carolina is at number 13 overall. They are number 30 in healthcare, number 7 in education, number 17 in economy, number 22 in infrastructure, number 28 in opportunity. They are number 7 in fiscal stability. They are number 20 in crime and corrections, and they are number 27 in natural environment.
Right.
Now, I did see there was a worst. There was a worst. All right, I'm not finding that now. I was seeing it somewhere. Oh, so from NC, let's see, what is this? NC Policy Watch. So yeah, what North Carolina is the worst in, they are the worst in the U.S. for workers. They are literally ranked they are dead last for wages, worker protections, and right to organize. So, worst place to work is North Carolina.
No, but they're 17 in economy, so something's going on there.
Well, but then again, what does economy have to do with workers?
Mm-hmm.
It does, but it's kind of one of those weird, like, double-edged swords.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a booming economy and have people working at minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a booming economy and have a bunch of volunteers.
Right.
or you can have a booming economy and have a lot of properly paid, well protected employees.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of all figured. It kind of
Right.
all
Plays out.
So yeah. So basically you can have a great economy and do it by basically abusing everyone that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where North Carolina basically falls, apparently.
Right.
I can understand that. North Carolina has some really screwed up ideas.
Right.
About what the words right to work and employment at will mean.
Right.
And how to use those and to what degree. And yeah, so what they end up doing is kind of, it can be very ugly. It can be very, very, very ugly.
Very ugly. Okay, let's take a sip. Right, and we're back. Moving on to the main topic for tonight, and kind of our free conversation back and forth topic too. Relationship formalization and negotiations. Now, I don't think you had walked into a relationship negotiations before me.
No, had not.
Well,
no.
How do you like it?
It has its moments.
Okay.
At both directions, it has its moments.
Okay.
But I mean, there are some benefits. There are. But then there's also moments where I guess the only thing I can really say is the biggest downside is that sometimes what you plan looks nice on paper.
Right.
And this is for all parties involved. That what you can plan on paper all sounds great, well, good, and fine.
Right.
And then sometimes when the rubber hits the road, it's kind of like, well, that was cute.
Right.
That was cute.
Right.
That was a lovely theory. It was a lovely idea. Oh, Ashley, that's us, not your phone, like, tripping out. But no, it can be a really great idea. And then when the experience, and it's not always the exact experience one lays out, but like something that is kind of a near neighbor.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, all right, what do we do with that?
Right.
Like, that doesn't inherently fit here. We either forgot a lot of things, or we've got to expand some definitions, or wow, that was a cute idea in theory. But that doesn't really apply here.
Right. So you have to go back and renegotiate. Well, two of the things that I found interesting was two of your, what I call, non-starters. There is no negotiating this or moving it.
Alrighty.
We have dinner together every night.
Well, yeah, that was a theory. That was cute.
And we do that most nights.
Yeah. I was a little more like gung ho in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've probably gotten to a point we could just strike that one.
Yeah, no, I like it. It gives us time to talk.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other one was no cell phones at the dinner table.
Yeah, now that one I'm more of a stickler for.
Right.
Like, I just don't. And that's restaurants, that is our dinner table, that is anywhere we are.
Yeah.
And that one just comes to, for me, it's not that I have a problem if the phone is on the table. I don't really have a problem if you quickly answer a call and come back because it was important. I don't really have a problem if, like, while we're waiting on food, one wants to, like, do a quick check.
Right.
Like, hey, what's going on in the world? Real quick. Okay, good.
Right.
Like, no one's died, nothing bad has happened, whatever. I'm cool with that.
Right.
I have a problem when it is effectively, you're spending the entire meal, and this is all you see is the top of someone's head while they're looking at a phone, half listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and I especially hate that one in restaurants.
Right.
Like, that's the point where my idea of food
Mm-hmm.
goes from, I'll spend $25 on dinner
Mm-hmm.
to I will go to McDonald's.
Right.
Like, if that's the dinner we're having,
Mm-hmm.
that's like, I'm gonna spend money at McDonald's and still feel like I got a little screwed in this experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think dinner is more than food.
Well, I think dinner and lunch. We don't do breakfast. We rarely do breakfast together.
Yeah, that one's never really gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, that one just doesn't.
My breakfast can be anywhere between 4 and 10 o'clock, and yours is normally in the morning.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's if I bother.
That's it. That's if you bother, or if your husband remembers to make you your shake and go, here, I don't want a grumpy bear later.
Well, and it also depends upon my day.
Right.
Because if I'm having to get up at like 6 a.m. to be somewhere, to be out the door by 8, then no, breakfast is not occurring.
Right.
It's just not. And the best you can hope for is somewhere between like 7:20 and 7:30, I knock down a smoothie.
Right.
Like, that's the best.
Right.
Or I take it with me.
Right.
That's about as good as you get with me on that one. I don't like breakfast. Mm-hmm. Well, let me rephrase. I like breakfast foods. Mm-hmm. I cannot eat most of them in the morning.
Right.
Like, I am a protein-based life form in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
If I start my day with a crap ton of breakfast foods, which are pretty much all carb, my day's shot.
Right.
Like, just put me back to bed. If I'm having French toast for breakfast, it's a cry for help.
Right.
Like, read that as, please send help. Like,
right.
Call 911. He's eating French toast for breakfast. You don't understand. Right. This is bad. But
no, that's when I get a blood pressure cuff, my thermometer, and my blood sugar kit, and go, let's see what's wrong with you and what mugwort I need to give you.
Well, yeah, because my fundamental problem is it sets me off for a really bad day of having to take the carbs I had for breakfast and add more carb, and then try to slowly winnow my way back down. And hopefully not get cold, clammy, and shaky or pass out before I get winnowed back down and rebalance all this with protein.
Right.
So, yeah, no big, I can do a fair amount of sugar late in the day. But it usually means I am absolutely starving by breakfast.
Right. So, you're two non-starters. We are not negotiating these out, and this is a difference between things that can be negotiable and things that aren't.
Yeah.
How are those two played out for you?
I don't think we've done bad.
Okay.
We definitely met my target, which was I just majority don't want this to be. I don't want the one to be an issue. The whole I'm staring at the top of your head while I eat, a $20-some meal. or 30 or whatever.
Right.
Because that just kills it for me. And generally speaking, we've probably got a 98% on that one.
Right.
Which I'm more than good with. And then on the other, I mean, if we go with just the one meal a day, we have a really high success rate.
Right.
And that's not been too bad.
Right.
That one probably more like 90%. Like there's sometimes it just doesn't work.
Right.
It's just not happening.
Right.
And that's okay. Again, that's it's close enough.
Yeah.
Is where I can rank that one. Yeah, like, and I didn't need perfect. But it like as a general, and I guess that's probably the big point out between non-negotiable and absolutely 100% adherence.
Right.
Like I don't need 100% adherence to it, but I need better than 75%.
Right.
Otherwise, what are we doing?
Right.
Why is this a problem? Why is this an issue? And moreover, if this isn't something you want, then that's not something I want.
Right.
Like I'm just not going to be happy. I'm going to be mad.
Right.
But you know, things come up and I understand that. I'm not like evil about it.
Right.
I'm just like, no, I don't negotiate this one. Like we eat dinner together. Though technically, I think we could almost strike that and I would be okay.
I wouldn't be, because there are days that's the only time we get to have conversation that doesn't involve either of the two businesses. Like I'm about ready to go in there and renegotiate that for no business talk.
Well, there you go. That one that I could take. That I could take. But no, I mean, I don't know. I was really more attached to the idea in the beginning. And just like, this is a thing I want.
Right.
And I think that had a lot of rebound to like spending a lot of time eating alone. And going, well, if I'm in a relationship, I really don't want to spend the majority of my time.
Right.
Like 90% of it eating alone.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. Now I'm just kind of like, well, I could bounce a little on that one. Like maybe still non-negotiable, well, like so to speak, a non-negotiable, but like I could drop my percentages.
Right.
And still be okay.
Right. So that was your two. What were my two?
Oh, dear God.
Real simple ones.
I know, that's the sad part, is like I don't even think I've ever had to think about them.
Right.
Like it's like, okay, fine, whatever. You know, it was like, it was no big deal. Like, this is not a thing I do. I'm the worst. I just totally blanked.
I will give them to you and you can talk about them.
Okay.
I don't want to find someone in my house I don't know.
And keep them out of my kitchen.
There you go.
And this is what I'm saying, is that like it was like neither one of these are they a problem.
Right.
I'm like, one, no. And the other one, really no.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, fine, whatever, dear.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't like surprise house guests ever for any reason. Like, that's a totally different, like, you should really just call it, I like no surprise house guests.
Right.
None. Zip, zero, nada. I never, like, he never ever does he ever want to wake up and find out there are people here unexpectedly.
Right.
And it's not been like a cataclysmic emergency.
Right.
Fair enough. I'm good with that. I can follow that. I get that. Like, it's nice to know. Really important to know if you're waking up to a house full of strangers.
Right.
So that one I'm fine with. We don't really have any issues with that one. And then he really hates anyone fucking with his kitchen.
Yeah.
And I understand that, and that's the big deal with that, is it's not really about someone else being in the kitchen exactly. You really just hate anyone fucking with your kitchen.
Yeah.
And like shit's out of place and stuff's being moved around and
I don't like hunt for stuff. I like to be able to drop into my cooking world and cook and get my jam on and prepare you a lovely dinner. But I can count on my hand within the past 4 years who I've let cook in my kitchen.
Yeah, it's a short list.
It's a very short list.
It's a very short list. Like, you don't generally, like, one, you're just like, I'd rather cook the whole meal than to play figure it out later.
Right.
So, yeah, no, that it's been a short list. I like, but never was that really ever going to be one for me.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
Right. Now, one that was was a non-negotiable, and later on it was like, okay, we're past this.
Okay.
You don't leave the house if I'm asleep.
Yeah, you had that as a big one for a while, and I was like, well, that's weird. Because two things happen there.
Yeah.
One is I'm a day shifter.
Well, this was when we were trying the day shifting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, don't leave the house without me knowing you leave the house, and, wake me up and tell me you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, it looked beautiful on paper. It sounded so awesome. It was wonderful. Within 3 months, I'm like, well,
within like 2 months, you had already downgraded it significantly to just leave me a note.
Right.
Let me know that you've left the house.
Right.
And I was like, okay, fine, whatevs. And then I think even a month after that,
we got right
was when you were like,
I'm like, I don't need
done.
this anymore.
Yeah, like, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done. Like, never mind. It was cute. It was a brilliant idea. It failed spectacularly.
Yeah. And some of these things has grown out.
Yeah. Well, and I will say that one failed in two directions.
Right.
Because one of two things kept occurring. I either kept waiting till you woke up to go do something, or you would basically be like an hour and a half into sleep, and then I'm waking you up to tell you that I'm leaving, and that was really screwing with you.
Yeah, that was really messing with me, because after an hour and a half, I can wake up and run for at least 12 hours. So it's like, wake up to tell me he's going to the store to get milk, which is on the note in the kitchen that I need milk for dinner, and I'm up for the next 12 hours.
Yep. After an hour and a half of sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the point where he was like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
This was cute. Never will it ever. And it's like, yeah, sorry. Things happen when you keep dating people who have to wait on you to leave the house.
Yeah.
Like, because that was where his ex situation was.
Right.
Was that no one drove.
Right.
Ever. And so it all kind of sounded good, and then it was like, wait, you have a car and a driver's license. You can go wherever the hell you want to.
Right.
Yeah, I know. That's why you keep leaving me a list of shit to go buy.
Right. Well, this is when we had the dual houses, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, I had a very large dual issue of waking up and you're gone, don't know when you're coming back, don't know whether the world has blown up or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And the other issue with that was at the time, some places you'd go, there wasn't a cell phone reception.
Right.
And it's like, we ain't dealing with this. Like, no. Let me know you're going there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Like 119, honey. There are spots on 119 that spoke signals do not reach.
Well, and yeah, and no. I mean, like I will say I'm the world's worst. Like, I'm sorry. I really do appreciate when people say call me when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like every time someone says that, I just need to go ahead and tell them, like, well, I would love to say I will do that.
Uh-huh.
But I don't want to lie to you, because here's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to walk through the door, and that's it.
Right.
It's going to be 45 minutes to tomorrow before I go, oh, shit, I forgot to message them.
Right. Now, that's
every time.
But Life 360 has been a real good game changer for us. Mm-hmm. Here is why, and this is why. Mm-hmm. You got to go to work. It's snowing. I don't have to bug you. You can call and talk to me if you want to. If not, most of, like, if it's a standard place, it's like ding, ding, ding. Exit 9. Great. He's made it to work.
Yeah. Well, or depending upon where I'm at and what I'm doing.
Right.
But there is the other side of that, is that, if you are sitting there, because here's the thing with IT work, I can talk to a client. Mm-hmm. I can think I have a really good understanding of their problem. Mm-hmm. Even if they aren't real sure what's going on, I can typically take in the information and have a pretty good idea what's going on and how long it's going to take. Mm-hmm. But then, it doesn't always work out. Mm-hmm. And generally, your theory has been, if I'm still sitting at the client in location, that I've been at for like a couple of hours, several hours, you just kind of run with the theory, then obviously I'm not done.
Right.
Whatever I thought this was going to take, it didn't.
Right.
Something, either the issue was different, there were other issues. It was the issue I thought it was, but it went sideways. Mm-hmm. And then that way I don't have to keep, like, one, you don't panic.
Right.
But two, I don't have to try to either A, remember to call you, because you already heard I'm bad at that. Right. Because I get lost in an issue and it's like, what's time? That's a thing. Okay, cool. But more importantly, I don't have to, like, pay attention to my phone to be ready to answer, to go, yeah, this went totally sideways. Calm down. It's okay. I'm still here. Mm-hmm. This went totally sideways. Mm-hmm. And now I have no clue if it's going to be another hour or 3.
Right. Or 10.
Or what it's going to be.
Right.
One, because, like, I don't want to say I hate that. Mm-hmm. It's not that I hate that. I really don't technically have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. And I'm putting all this in air quotes every time I say that.
Right.
And the reason I'm doing it that way is because That's not my problem. My problem is it jerks me out of the issue,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have to try to get back into it, which inevitably makes it take longer.
Right. Well, and that's back to one of my other rules of work is work.
Mm-hmm.
We work as long as we have to, but we communicate,
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing. But it's up to us to communicate that.
Yeah.
And
Well, as best we can.
right.
Because even your stuff can go sideways.
Oh yeah.
I've had a couple of moments where it's like, I swear to God, this was like a 3-hour booking.
Right.
For an event.
Yeah.
And it's like hour 6 and I've heard nothing.
Right.
And it's like, but I can sit there and look at the app and be like, okay, what's the deal? Okay, well, he's still there. All righty. He called me. It seemed okay earlier. Because you do typically call.
Right.
Without any provocation.
Right.
And I can run with the theory that, he called me like 2 hours in, which is, typically somewhere in there is like your thing, like you message or call.
Right.
And let me know that, no, this is all going fine. And then, so if it's like, okay, this was only supposed to be like a 3-hour booking, and it's now 5 hours of that, I will typically just sit there and go, well, this is going to be a fun story later, or this is one of those, well, I got slammed.
Right.
Let me tell you what happened. And what happened was...
Yes.
Well, because then again, you sometimes run to the store. And bless your heart, he will say things that in my head trigger, oh, well, he'll be back in like 30, 45 minutes. 3 hours later. And it's like, I don't even know how you shop at anywhere that long. I go with the list, and I'm like in and out, and like, I swear, you inspect shelves.
Yeah.
Like, these companies owe you money. For making sure that all of their shelves are properly attached.
Well, no, it depends on what I'm shopping for, and it's really changed over this past 2 years.
Yeah, it's gotten shorter over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But, and like now it's more like, you say you're running to the store, I think it'll be like 20, 30 minutes. It might be an hour.
Right.
It might be an hour. Like, I don't think you've pulled a long store run in a while.
Right, but that's...
And the last one...
I've started doing more research online.
Yeah, instead of figure it out at the store.
Right.
But now I will say, like, the one thing you don't do, and it is the thing that sometimes also happens, and it's why I've just learned it's a thing and it's fine, is if you can't find what you want, here's what happens. He says, I'm going to go to Walmart and buy X. Okay, honey. And in my head, I think, well, he'll be back in 30 minutes or an hour. Walmart number 1 did not have it. He stood in the middle of the store and figured out which nearest Walmart had it. And then proceeded to drive to Walmart 2. He only went to one, quote, store because there are both Walmarts. He will not ever separate those in his head and be like, I might want to mention. I just went from Fayetteville, West Virginia to Beckley, Summersville, Princeton, Lewisburg, Charleston, wherever.
I think the last time I'd done that was when I bought the couch, because we were set to buy the couch at Big Lots.
You did, I believe you did actually tell me that like Big Lots didn't have it.
Yeah.
And then you ended up at like, I don't know how many Walmarts.
I went to 2.
But I'm sitting here going, because Big Lots is like what, 5 minutes from our house? At most. Like you got to drive slow on the back road 5 minutes. And okay, he's going to the furniture section. They've got to, probably pull one from the back. He's got to drive, pay for it, drive around with the car. They've got to carry it out and load it. Okay, I have a reasonable expectation of like he's going to be gone for like maybe an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Because this can take some time. Oh, it was like 6 times that.
Yeah. It's times that I had it. So we go to Big Lots. They think they have one. They have to go look. Who knows what the hell they went and done? I think they took lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Had a staff meeting. Then come back and tell me they don't have it. Okay, fine. I'm on my googly goo. Walmart has it. This Walmart has low stock. This Walmart has it, and an abundance of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the one that's the closest to see if they actually have it, because if it says low stock, sometimes our Walmarts really ain't great for updating their inventory. They need an inventory control system. Just FYI, Walmart employees, get yourself an inventory control system. They don't
update some stuff.
Yeah. They have a floor model. I have to wait for someone to come tell me they don't have it.
Uh-huh.
So I go to the other Walmart in Beckley.
And pause. This is the problem, is he's locked in. The first store ticked him off.
Uh-huh.
And after that, it was all over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, key benefit here, and we're not just trying to like sell Life 360, but I will say the one thing I do appreciate is when he took off on this, I got play-by-play.
Uh-huh.
Because I heard him leave, or he arrived at, and in the app that one pops as Kroger, which is where I expected him to be at the first Big Lots. And then he left Kroger, and I went, oh, he must be on his way home. Arrived at Walmart.
Uh-huh.
And I went, okay, did he remember something while he was out? What, like, I thought this was a one-item trip. And I went, and then he was there for a while.
Uh-huh.
And I went, okay, I know what's happened. And then he left Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, okay, he's headed home. And it's not that long of a drive, 20 minutes max. Like bad traffic, slow trip, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
No. I'm sitting here for a good hour and something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go, he should have been home by now.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't dinged anywhere else. And I just start looking at the app going, uh-huh. Yep, he's going to be all day.
Yeah, and it was a very all-day manager on deck. I am not putting up with your bullshit trip. Yeah. So what is one, we talked about, the one about don't leave unless you wake me up. What is one that you thought was going to be a pain in your living ass, and it turned out to be nothing?
Did I have one of those? I mean, I know I fought Life 360 probably the hardest.
Uh-huh.
I will say I don't always love Life 360.
Uh-huh.
And I will say that's because I am notorious for zoning out while driving.
Right.
Like, I set my phone to tell me where to turn.
Right.
I don't care if I'm going 5 minutes down the road. I will plug in a destination.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes while I'm driving, especially alone,
Mm-hmm.
a random thought will cross my mind, and next thing I know, or someone will call,
Mm-hmm.
and 20, 30 miles out of my way later,
Mm-hmm.
in the wrong direction,
Mm-hmm.
do I realize, oh shit, I don't know where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
So I GPS where I'm going, but as a general theory, like, I don't always.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest problem with it in the beginning is it's like, if you call me to tell me I missed my exit, I know I missed my exit. I figured that out.
Mm-hmm.
I have already turned around or am in process of turning around. I know I missed my exit. I don't want to hear about how I missed my exit.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it alone.
Right.
Or, yes, I was only supposed to be going to 2 places. Do not call me to ask me what the problem is. Because that's kind of the thing I never do. I almost never do.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's been very rare. I've been like, okay, what happened?
Uh-huh.
Like, now I have.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, it's so far out, it's like, I gotta hear it. I gotta hear it. I gotta hear it. But anymore, no, it's just like, okay, he's fine.
Yeah.
Like, as long as he pops up at a Walmart somewhere.
Right.
Or
one of the other locks we've got put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I was like, just don't even. I know I missed my exit. I'm aware I missed my exit. I knew I missed my exit as I breezed past my exit.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Leave
yeah,
it.
you fought that one the hardest, and I'm like, dear, the only time I ever use that one, even open the app, is like, what's 5 o'clock? He was scheduled to be headed home. He hasn't dinged past Dolly's Diner. What the hell? Where the hell is he? How far do I have to delay dinner? Do I need to just order it out? That is
Yeah,
the
really.
only time I normally open the app.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it tells us we've designed it for it to tell us where we are, what we're doing.
Yeah. So no, it's fun. Sometimes it's funny.
Yeah.
But no, I think that was the one I thought would be the biggest pain in the ass. It was like, if he starts calling me every time I miss an exit, take a wrong turn, to like re-navigate me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't need that. I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to be scolded for that. I don't want to hear it.
Uh-huh.
I know what I did.
Uh-huh.
I'm not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm distracted.
Right.
One way or another. Because either I've had something cross my mind that has to like play its course before I go, oh, I was supposed to turn there.
Uh-huh.
Or I'm already on a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, now I have to try to operate a car, correct my wrong turn, continue the conversation I'm having, and now switch calls.
Right.
And try to switch back.
Right.
And it's like, please don't.
Right.
Like, now some of these calls are worth it.
Yes. One time, the only time I've ever done that with you, you called me.
True. Well, that yeah, that is true. There was one point, I forget what the hell caused that. Like, was it the GPS just totally fucked it? Or was it my phone was dead? Or no, it wasn't my phone dead.
Person that gave you directions to Timbuktu and Bulletproof.
Oh God!
You called me. Like,
that was the relative.
I am. I said, so what do you see? Because normally, If he can tell me what he sees, I can negotiate him through about anything. I see a big rock and a tree.
Yeah. No, I got real bad directions. That was horrible.
And I am like, okay, give me a minute here. Boop.
Mm-hmm.
Open up. Oh, you're here. Where are you going again? Why the hell are you over on that side of the state? They took you up the wrong side of the fucking mountain. Get onto this, do that.
Yeah. No, as a side note, I will have to say, and this is totally come out of this conversation tangential. I hate people who don't drive.
Yeah.
Not because they don't drive, but one, they never know where the hell they're going. They don't know an address. At best, they know a name of a place, and like, God help you if it's like grandma's house.
Mm-hmm.
But two, they think they can give you turn-by-turn navigation to get somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And
they never can. They will always
mm-hmm.
point you in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
That was one that killed me a while back and drove me, like, it was a moment of, like, I couldn't get mad at them. Like, I really couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I was sitting there hitting the point of, you have no idea where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
We are now randomly driving around the state of West Virginia.
Mm-hmm. And Virginia.
We have been at this for over an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I need you
mm-hmm.
to please get in touch with this person and get their address.
Mm-hmm.
Only to find out we were only 25 miles in the wrong direction.
Yep.
And I was like, never, ever again. Like, it was a moment of like, no, never again do I head anywhere with you that you can't tell me an address.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take you anywhere you want to go, but I need an address.
Right.
That's all I ask. And that's become the everyone.
Yeah. Well, that's become the everything for you. For me, it's like, tell me where you want to go. I can normally get an idea where it's at. I unfortunately have this weird ability to remember where places are, what's around them, and can normally direct.
Oh, Brenda says, the ex got the response from me once. I have no idea where I am. I'm lost, but there are lots of yard sales. I'll worry about it when I'm done yard sailing.
Yeah. Fair. But, this is how these were mostly easy negotiations. We had a fight and argument over 360. And that happened. Yeah, this isn't the how do you get everything you want out of the relationship, because there's things you don't get.
No. Well, and I think that was an early on, like, I think that you may have in the very beginning got very persnickety and said some things like you were trying to help. And it was like we ended up having a conversation more like once or twice about where are you trying to get to? And I know where the fuck I'm at. I'm not crazy. I'm not lost per se. I just went the wrong way. I didn't plug it into GPS this time because I thought I could get 5 minutes down the road without anyone calling me. And then it was like one phone call turned into 2 phone calls. And then it was like, oh, for the love of God. But.
Yeah, but those were just phone calls. I wasn't watching GPS.
Well, still, though, I'm just saying. Yeah. It's one of those moments. It's like, leave me alone. I'm in the car. Like, I'll call you back. I never do.
True.
Like, that's the, like, yeah, no. That's another one for me. I tend to, like, I'm good at one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
2 phone calls coming in and trying to switch conversations, and then also remember, okay, I got to call you back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you haven't heard from me in 20 to 30 minutes, call me back.
Right.
Like, I've forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now, if I'm talking to one person and one person only, and I say, I will call you back, I will call you back.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to beep through,
Mm-hmm.
or if someone beep through on you,
Mm-hmm.
good luck, God bless, call me back in 20 to 30 minutes.
Right. All right. So, so it's negotiating out. What's your minimum? And a lot of time it's what's your minimum?
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, I can do, I don't know, throw one at them that we had to negotiate down or up.
Mm-hmm. A minimum?
Or one that was like, okay,
Okay, I know a minimum we had to negotiate up.
Okay.
$200.
Mm-hmm.
You are perfectly content to spend to the penny and be like, my account has $150 in it. I will spend $149.99.
Right.
And he's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It didn't bother him in the least. I am over here with an ulcer the size of a fucking volcano.
Right.
Because all I can do is keep thinking, but what if?
Mm-hmm.
What if this? What if that? What if this other thing?
Uh-huh.
And you're just like, it's okay. It'll be fine. I get a deposit tomorrow.
Right.
Like, ugh. So, yeah, that's been one we've had to negotiate up. That, no, really, I just need a buffer.
Right.
Just a buffer. So that if I don't correctly do the math, if I forget a bill, if I forget something,
Mm-hmm.
I have $200 worth of fuck up.
Right.
Before I have to go,
that reminds me of another one we had to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like credit cards.
Yeah. You're getting better.
I know, I'm getting one of my own. That's a big step. But that is one we've had to work through.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, okay, I don't like this, but I can adapt to this.
Yeah, but I think you started liking credit card right at the point when she went, what is cashback bonus?
Right.
And I went, come to my Amazon and see. Because.
Yeah, and that's a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't spend the cashback bonus. He spends the cashback bonus.
Yep.
That is his mad money. He doesn't have to account for it. He doesn't have to tell me he spent it. That is his. He doesn't even have to put it in the budget.
Nope. Because it's not, so to speak, it's not real money. Because it's cashback bonus.
Right.
It's there. And yeah, I will save it up sometimes for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be looking at Amazon, see something I want, and just go click.
Right.
Surprise!
Right. It's like my Ibotta money. I can do what I want on my Ibotta money.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are things we negotiate out, and this is how you do with anxiety. Firmly, freezer, cash. I want hard cash. I want my cash, and it drives me crazy.
Well, and it's not necessarily I'm not credit card crazy.
Right.
I am a big fan of, and not that we're exactly there. We'll be there soon. Mm-hmm. But because I'm sorry, 2019 was a fucking nightmare.
Right.
And 2020 was not starting out all that great. So that credit card has a little balance right now.
Yeah.
Like kind of a big one.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's coming down.
Right.
But no, I'm not generally one. I see that as a perfect use of a credit card
Mm-hmm.
is when it's like, okay, we have a temporary problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not credit card mad in terms of just spend. It's free money.
Uh-huh.
No. I need a plan here.
Right.
No, we're not using this to pay for a lifestyle in minimum monthly payments over 30 years.
Right.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
But I'll gladly use it for emergencies. But also, I really more so appreciate
Mm-hmm.
the situation of just put all the utilities on it.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna pay them anyway.
Yeah.
Or at least like 95% of them, even if we're having a rough month.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're gonna pay them. It's just the dates don't work perfectly.
Right.
I would rather write one big check in the middle of the month
Mm-hmm.
and know that world's worst, okay, honey, I'm going to write a minimum monthly payment.
Uh-huh.
And I don't care how illegal what you have to do is.
Mm-hmm.
I expect a much larger payment next month.
Uh-huh.
Um,
And we've talked about that, and that's part of our financial planning. And we've been talking a lot of finances in this, but this is weird. This is one that I don't think a lot of couples like. Finances for couples are the most dangerous territory.
mm-hmm.
Divorces happen over debt. So
You
the way
do?
we organize our finances is
Uh-huh.
Aeson's money is everybody's money because everybody works for Aeson. Mystic's money is Mystic's money. Joe's money is
and
Joe's money.
Well, and it's not like it's a ton of money.
No,
It's
we're
a
not
little
talking
bit of
hundreds
money.
of thousands of dollars here, people.
Nah. But now, as for like Mystic's money is Mystic's money,
Uh-huh.
that has a lot more to do with it's fun when you work in IT.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Because between the two parts
Mm-hmm.
of the business, the website design, development, and hosting,
Mm-hmm.
and the computer repair,
Mm-hmm.
I end up just needing to be able to buy stuff.
Right.
Or I have stuff that, no, I don't necessarily need my whole bank balance today,
Uh-huh.
but I have to account for the fact that stuff is going to go through
Mm-hmm.
from like my web hosting provider for domain renewals, contract renewals, et cetera, all the little bits and pieces. And I'm paying for those annually.
Right.
So they're not little tiny $10 charges that, I can keep $50 in here.
Right.
Like when these go through, like it can be a shock.
Right.
In terms of this isn't just like, go, drop a 20 in my account. I need to clear this.
Right.
Rarely do I ever have a charge that goes through that is covered by a 20.
Right. But what I'm saying is that was hard for you to adjust to. You still have trouble adjusting to that idea that, no.
I do. I've always been a yours, mine, and ours.
Uh-huh.
Like mentally. Like, I'm cool with an ours account.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with a my account.
Mm-hmm.
I typically prefer your account. And that's as in like this is all you.
Mm-hmm.
You go do what you want to do, and I have nothing to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to spend it, you want to save it, you want to overdraft it, whatever you want to do, go do that.
Right.
I don't have to care.
Right.
Like, it's not my problem.
Right.
Now when it comes in out of the hour account,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I'm a little more like, okay, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
I need I don't know. I'm pretty easygoing, I think,
Mm-hmm.
on spending. Like, you can decide that one later, but I mean, in terms of like, I don't really freak out.
Right.
And, it's not like every expense I'm sitting here going, what in the fuck did you spend that for?
Right.
I'm generally like, well, this is what we
forever.
spent. Do I know?
We've had the $250 rule forever. Like, that was another rule that went into effect with us.
The $250 rule. Oh, the $250 expense.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, someone didn't say that right the first time.
Uh-huh.
The first time?
Uh-huh.
Oh, Ashley feels semi-attacked. Oh, no. Why? But no, the $250 rule, which I heard is the $50 rule, and he kept trying to figure out why every time I was about to spend more than $50, I was like, honey, I'm about to know.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm about to do this. And you're like, okay, fine, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Do whatever. I don't care.
Right.
Because I kept hearing, I had originally heard a $50 rule, and I went, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Like, but no, but no, it was like $250. Well, hell, I'll never call you again.
Because he's calling me from Kroger's buying groceries. Honey, is it okay if I spend $78? I'm about ready to go to the register.
Like, I know where I'm at, and it's going to be expensive.
And I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was probably the most awkward one.
Right.
Oh, the $300 guideline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Have I ever actually broken the 250?
Yes.
Broken it?
Yes. You smashed the fuck out of it.
Yeah. All right. Okay, fair enough. But were any of them actually bad? Like, I like the fact that Mary and Frank called it the $300 guideline.
Uh-huh.
And I think that would work probably better for calling it that. That's how I treated it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I've spent over $250 and been like, but what else was I supposed to do?
I know, but I'm saying that, and most of the times we're standing right there when we've done this.
Fair enough. Yeah, if you're standing right there, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
You had ample opportunity to be, I don't think so.
Right.
I figure if you didn't open your mouth.
Right. But no. You had asked if you'd ever, gone over it. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Amazon alone will tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my Amazon buying it has its moments, but then again, it's not always bad.
No, it's not been bad.
Like, it's never been bad money. Like, if I've busted it, it's usually for good reason.
Right.
Like, and it's like, this is what I'm doing.
And that's all it is this is what I'm doing. Can we do it? Yes. Or no, what the hell are you thinking? But it's gotten a lot more comfortable. We have less of those conversations since you've gotten involved in budgeting.
Yeah, but then I also still do, and I will eternally do I spent $20 today. I spent $15 today.
Uh-huh.
Like, I figure it's just good information to have.
Mm-hmm. And it's
like, I don't typically have a problem, like, reporting my spending that, this is what I did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. A reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it now.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, you were going the other direction. Ours is the two, and it was the two. Well, was. I don't know.
Yes.
I think we're almost beyond it.
Well, that's because we never spend it.
Well, we either never hit it, or when we hit it, it's like I don't even want to hear it.
Uh-huh.
Like, you have never called me about tires and been like, once you've called me about tires. Sorry. I was trying to think through the number of times we've put tires on my car, and it's kind of crazy. Like, you've never been like ready to check out and been like, this is going to be $300 and some.
Uh-huh.
It's always been like, well, I spent $300. I spent $360.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, they're tires. What the hell else? Like, how do you get mad?
Like the first time you ever called about something, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You went to do car maintenance.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the warranty, and I'm like, that's cute, but they can't regulate where you get your car maintenance. It just requires that you do.
Well,
he went for an oil change. I'm thinking,
oh yeah, I was
$78. Honey, they're wanting $493 for maintenance on the car. What the fuck?
Yeah, and that wasn't even permission exactly. That was just I've had it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done. Like, I want to make sure I haven't lost my mind, but I'm pretty sure I'm done.
Right.
Like, because this is getting ridiculous.
Right.
Like, every time I go in for an oil change, I'm coming out like $400 poorer.
Right.
Yeah, Frank called her about a $650 Michelin set.
Yeah, I would have looked at him and said, no.
You know, though, depending upon the vehicle, I will say I had one car. And that car, I swear to God, for as cheap as it was when it came off the lot, that car broke me at every turn.
Right.
The tires were $250 a piece. This, like, the alternator is $800. This is blah, blah, blah. Every flippin' part for that car. Like, I don't know how they built it and sold it for what they sold it for, because parts alone were worth more than the vehicle as a whole.
Right.
I'm like I could have taken off like a door, a hood, and like a couple of parts and had more than and sold them individually for more than the total value of the car.
Right. And
I'm just sitting here going, this is ridiculous.
Right. And it is. All right. So that's how you literally negotiate out everything. And it's a give and take.
Yeah. Well, and it's continuity. I don't know that you ever get done with it, is the other part of it. It is recognizing, okay, what do we want? Like, what's the deal?
Right.
Oh, that car. Oh, I was never so glad as to get rid of a vehicle. That was in, I believe, 2014, somewhere in there. May have been as late as 2016, but I don't think it was.
Right.
But yeah, it was a Ford Escort. Of all stupid vehicles on the planet, it originally sold for like, I think $18,000 total. And every flipping thing. Because it was the 2-door sports coupe, not the 4-door sedan.
Right.
Every flipping thing was more expensive. It was more than like I had ever heard of for that part on any other vehicle. It was just like, what is every part of this car dipped in like gold and diamond encrusted? Like, it's a fucking Ford Escort. Like, how? How is it this expensive? I don't get it.
Right. Okay. So the next part of this little talk is relationship, and we're talking base relationship formulation. sometimes relationships are not this 1+1. Sometimes it's 1+1+1. Sometimes it's one, and that would be a full triad. And if you go, and that's a form of polyamory, or you may have 1+1 parentheses around that one, and then parentheses around 1+1, and that would be a hinge or a V relationship where the person is dating two people. With relationship negotiations, those start multiplying into negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
So we did get a question on polyamorous relationships. This is: do y'all share one room, or do you each have separate rooms?
Yes and no.
Yeah, yes and no. Here's
like there is sharing going on. Like there are two relationships in two rooms.
Yeah.
So one of us does not have a room.
Actually, I do.
Well, you do. You do.
I have two rooms.
Mm-hmm. Like, again, it's kind of however you want to say that. And no, the best way to answer that one on that topic in general is it depends on a lot of things.
Right.
Some people are totally cool to be in a hinge or whatever, format of relationship they're in.
Mm-hmm.
But especially like a hinge where it's two independent relationships, but with one person in common, they can still share a bedroom.
Yeah,
and it's not a problem. Like they're cool, they're like they rock it. Others are like, no, it's one room per person.
Mm-hmm.
And like do with that as you wish, or we all sleep independently, and for some people it's totally different houses.
Right.
Like there can be two relationships between three people and there be three houses.
Right.
And that's not even necessarily long distance. That could be three separate houses in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that makes, more sense, better, whatever, for what all is going on in their life. I would say on that three house situation, you'd probably run into that more if I would think there would be a few people that would consider doing that just because they also run a home-based business.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is that would allow for that independent space.
Right. And
even if you don't necessarily always spend the night in each house individually.
Right. But we've seen with like sister wives, the changes and dynamics as their housing situations have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because originally they were in like a unifying apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was very easy for Cody, who is right now in a W relationship because one of his wives has left. Before he was in what I call a compass relationship where it's a four-way. But as they've moved, when they moved to Las Vegas, they moved into individual houses because they didn't have time to build. And then now they're in individual houses and they're distance apart. It's not like, and this is the more of the stress of the hinge is making sure you keep the balance going on with each of the pieces. We currently live in one house. We also have two businesses in one house at the same time. So this house technically, from a perspective of looking at individuals, this house has five different people living in it.
Well, 5 different entities.
Yeah.
3 different people, but if you count them as legal entities, there are 5.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a little crazy. And then it actually gets more involved than that.
Yeah.
Because then you have, like, beltane in the forest and
Crystal Owls.
And Crystal Owls and like West Virginia Psychics and blah blah.
Yeah.
Like all of this stuff.
Right.
And Mountaineer Pagan Nexus and Psychic Coffee Shop and
There's a lot of entities that live in this house, and this is kind of the reason I started with negotiations. No matter your formalization, there are neutral negotiations where it's the center person and all of the participants.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are relationship to relationship negotiations. And it is my opinion that it's not healthy to have them cross over.
Wait, what?
Like, me and you cannot negotiate something that's going to affect me and the invisible assistant.
No, not cool now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, could we theoretically discuss it?
Mm-hmm.
We can.
Mm-hmm.
We can't decide it.
Right.
We can't, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can do that.
Right.
But you have to be very careful of, are we discussing a thing? Are we discussing a thing independently for a secondary discussion?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we trying to decide?
Right.
And it's like, no. We hit the point of decide. We have to halt.
Right.
Back up.
Who does this
have that conversation?
That goes into that negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a lot of times, sometimes the more harder pieces. And then something I learned and learned real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you are not within a relationship with the invisible assistant, your relationship with the invisible assistant is not my responsibility unless I have to step in and go to your rooms.
Well, and that was probably a missing component idea that we were a little blind to in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Was that no, this is a Hinge.
Mm-hmm.
But like at very minimum, there's at least a roommate situation,
right?
Like like no matter what you do, it's or what even the actual situation is. There's at least a roommate situation,
right?
And I say that in terms of, you do have to, at very least, treat the other person in the same respect and regard as a roommate, even if you live in 3 different houses.
Yeah.
Even if you did, there still has to be a roommate situation.
Right.
Otherwise, shit's going to get weird.
Well, not only that, but whenever the party... Like, I am only responsible for mine and your interactions and mine and his interactions. I am not responsible for how you two get along.
Okay, with this relationship model and power struggle energy?
No, we have clear departments.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, I had to think through that one for a second. Like, I hadn't really thought about it in those terms.
Yeah.
But no, that's pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we have clear departments. All 3 of us have independent clear departments. And if it's something jointly affecting the departments, or it's a co-shared department, then it's up to those people to deal with it. Here's an example. It is not my department to deal with computers. I work on a computer, but if it messes up or we got to go buy a new one or whatever, that is not my department.
Yeah. Because I will say, every time you do, every time you've taken that one over and been like, fuck it, I'm going to go buy a computer. I will say that you need someone to rein you in, because you get very traumatized when your computer crashes.
Yeah.
and you are like the word, like for someone who is such a good consumer for literally everything else, you show up for a computer like, this is my monies, take it and give me computers, please. Like, you don't shop for a computer exactly, you just go buy one.
Right.
And like you're just like, I have a urgent traumatic need.
Right.
And it's like, but honey.
Right. But at the same time, the times I've bought a computer, since you entered this relationship, it's been, I need a notebook to get me through this month.
We have had to do that. And we've had to, like, because sometimes not, like, you know, yay, cash flow.
Yeah.
Because we did in the middle of the beginning of 2020?
The beginning of 2020.
Yeah. Had a total, like, loss.
Right.
And it was just a nightmare.
Right. And, you know, the one we had picked out couldn't get here for 6 weeks. There's no way we can share a computer.
No.
That breaks privacy rules.
Well, it's more so we sort of can. Like, theoretically, we could if we really had to.
Yeah.
I think the bigger problem is we can't really share a desk.
Right. No, we learned that real quick.
Yeah, we don't
share offices.
Yeah, like, that's the thing we can't, like, those are things we cannot share. It has less to do, I really honestly think we could put 2 accounts on a computer and share a computer. In theory. We can't share a desk.
No.
We can't share workspace.
Right.
And I mean that independently. Like, you know, yes, he works nights. Yes, I work days. You would think this would all be kosher. I'll kill him.
And I'll kill him.
Yeah. Because I know I'm going to get up and there's going to be 4 different coffee mugs in various stages of, like, dead, dying, and wow, science experiment. And an overflowing ashtray. And there's going to be, like, random miscellaneous things on the desk that make no sense. Like, and fine, it's your desk, do whatever you want. I don't care. I really don't care. But if I have to get up to it and like sit down, I'm just like, and he can tell you every time I have to work on his computer, he spends half his time running shit to the kitchen, to put up in the bathroom,
right.
Because I can't take it. I sit down at his desk and I'm like, here's your collection of mugs. Please dump your ashtray. Will you please put the toenail clippers back in the bathroom? Can you please take the knife back to the kitchen? We've been wondering where that one was. Yeah, and it's just like, are you kidding me? Because my brain can't take it.
Right. But on the other side of this, when we were sharing an office in the Princeton house, my dust off, empty my ashtray, get everything ready, because I'm not going to be there for 4 days.
Like, he can camp out if he actually leaves.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reality. You don't leave here. If you because seriously, you do. You camp out. Like, you know, camp in, camp out, like, you know, leave a good campsite. If you leave a place, like, it clicks for your brain, I have to clean this.
Right.
But if you're just getting up to go take a nap and come back to work, or going to bed and coming back to work.
Yeah. But if
it is a science experiment.
Right. But if I'm leaving, I will, and especially when I was in the Princeton house, I would clear my dust off. So I come home Friday night. expecting the nice clean desk may have a little dust on it. Why would he want to use or need my desk?
It's a flat level surface is why.
And it's covered. Like, I can't even set my briefcase down.
Yep. Oh, I am so colorful. I would just rinse mugs, etc., then load our dishwasher for hot double order. No.
No. I hate a dishwasher.
Well, no, not that. I'm saying no. I will occasionally go through and, like, we're down to 3 mugs in the kitchen, and there are none clean, and there are none in the sink. I know what has occurred, and I will go back and collect his yard sale of mugs from his desk and carry them all into the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Because it affects me at that point. Otherwise, no.
And here's the other thing. Then we have, and this is just our business entities departments.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the other departments like household.
Yeah.
That's the invisible assistants deal. He has to deal with housekeeping. He has to deal with all that. If there's a problem, he has to go deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a fair amount of the housekeeping stuff.
Right.
Like, I go do laundry, Mikey sorts laundry.
Mm-hmm.
He takes care of, like, resort it when it comes back.
Right.
Like, he color sorts and then he people sorts.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the 2 sorts.
Right.
Like, I'm sitting here going, nah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no.
Yeah. And that's
I figure I stood there for...
doesn't drive.
Well, yeah. Well, but also, like, I stood there for 2 hours. I did the laundry.
Right.
I lifted it in and out of machines. I lifted it in and out of the car.
Uh-huh.
I'm done.
Right.
Like, because we laundromat.
Right.
And that's been one that took some negotiation. We went back and forth on whether to do that or not.
Yeah.
Because what had fundamentally happened is the dryer died.
Mm-hmm.
And you were having a moment where it was like, okay, well, I'll wash the laundry and then take it to the laundromat and dry it.
Right.
And that's what got us into the laundromat. And then probably a month later, the washing machine died.
Right.
And I went, okay. And we both went, well, we'll go to the laundromat to do it all. And this was projected temporary.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
And we went back and forth on what would be better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't really care what it costs
mm-hmm.
at the laundromat.
Right.
Here's my thing. All the laundry goes out.
Right.
All the laundry comes back in within a couple of hours.
Right.
All of it is done. And you don't have to worry about did the dryer get started? Did the dryer actually finish? Or is stuff still wet and it needs to be restarted? Is stuff left in the dryer? Is stuff left in the washer? Did stuff get forgotten because we thought it was the last load, but it wasn't the last load?
Right.
On and on and on and on and on, because when you are doing 3 human beings worth of laundry, and I will just go ahead and point out, not small humans.
Right.
It's not like we can put a week's worth of laundry into one load. Like, we could wear all black. It's never going into one load.
Right.
It's just never going to happen.
Right.
But my whole point being, it's always multiple loads. There's always other stuff going on. Theoretically, yes, we should be able to, every time you pass by, just flip the machine around.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lovely theory. I don't really know any household that has ever actually made that theory work.
Right.
Because I mean, the closest I got was with my grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because I did 3 loads of laundry a day.
Right, but at the other side of that, and the side for me, and what is still the selling point is,
Mm-hmm.
what we paid for laundry is cheaper than what we paid for in utilities when we had a washer and dryer.
It is.
Okay, first off. Second off, it takes 2 to 4 hours
Mm-hmm.
to get laundry done. That is from invisible assistant collecting the baskets to laundry walking back through the door.
Mm-hmm.
2 to 4 hours, depending on how fast, what's on YouTube that he's watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they are entertaining. So, that's things that we've created through. I love my pantry. I absolutely love my pantry now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting where, and I'm like, that's so much better use of a space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it took us a while of going back and forth on that one. Like, what's the better choice? And I'm just locked in at this point.
Okay.
Like, I'm entrenched on the idea. Like, he can go buy replacements.
Right.
I'm just telling you now, I expect that we'll have very nice new replacements that will look showroom gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Until we finally have a conversation about, we've probably used them like 10 times
Mm-hmm.
in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you rather have a pantry back?
Right.
Because that's a lot of space.
All right. So we're going to talk benefits of our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got a question here that I want to talk through.
Okay.
So what are your top 4 benefits to the Hinge situation and how we run the household? And what are your top 4 drawbacks?
Oh God. I wasn't planning for 4. Like, I don't know. Benefits, like the division of labor works out really well.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the fact that I'm on the road so much,
Mm-hmm.
or have been. And like, let's just, spade a spade. Your RA.
Yeah.
Is the nicest way to put that one. Is you have X number of spoons per day, and some days I think this would all fall apart if those two things coupled together
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would have a part-time Florence the housekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Bare minimum. And I mean like 8 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would need a Florence for us to be able to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that's the RA, and literally some of that is I leave out of here at 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm not home till after 8.
Right.
I have no idea.
Right.
More importantly, when I leave out, if I'm going to be home by 8.
Right.
So, we would especially like eat out more. We would have more issues. Like we would have probably gone to paper plates and cups, and just, we have dishes on a shelf that we use sporadically.
No, at that point, we just get rid of the 2 sets of dishes, and we have the beautiful bone china behind you.
Well, there you go. For special occasions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, like, yeah, there's aspects of this that just wouldn't work.
Right.
At least not every single day, blah, blah, blah. And or like we would be really limited in the stuff that we do
Mm-hmm.
because of that.
Right.
Like it does let us have more flexibility there as a secondary issue or a secondary thing. More flexibility to like work to our strengths.
Mm-hmm.
instead of having to necessarily all the time like divide the weaknesses.
Right.
And try to conquer them, or like spend way more time trying to work around them.
Right.
So that, like, okay, what am I up to? 2? 3? Okay. I don't know. Somehow I'm struggling on a 4th benefit.
Okay. All right, then go 3 drawbacks.
Fuck the amount of planner space and time and conversations about planning. And yeah, that's like, yeah, if you're doing poly without a planner,
you're fucking up.
Yeah, there should be like its own special planner, really.
It's in development.
Well, there you go. I'd say that's probably one of the most like aggravating things. I would say drawback would also be like you have some things that end up in twice the number of conversations, or 3 or 4 times as many conversations. Because it's occurring, like you have 1+1 conversation, you have 1+1 conversation, you have 1 and 1 conversation, and then you have one big conversation about it. So it's not like we can have an idea, thought, opinion, need, whatever, and just be like, okay, we're going to go do this. What do you or I'm going to go do this, or I want to do this. What do you think? And we hash it out. Not everything falls in that category, so sometimes it becomes 4 flipping conversations. And it's just like, wake me when we have a decision. Like, please let me know when the jury has returned. Like, my God, people get tried for murder in less time.
Yeah, but we cut that down a lot with the ding conversation.
Well, yeah, that's true.
If it's something big, we all go to den.
Yeah, like we just do one group messenger. So there's that. I think that's definitely a drawback, is like if you don't like talking about issues, poly is not for you. Like, get an obstinate dog first and work your way up to a relationship, and then once you get one handled pretty well, if you're still living, then you can consider. I would say another drawback, and it's on a similar one, is if you are having a problem with someone else, you have to delineate between I need advice or I need to vent.
Right.
And not I need you to fix this.
Right.
Like, you can't do that. That didn't work. It's a bad idea. It doesn't work out. It's going to be its own separate independent issue that you now have to also work through.
Right.
Oh, and yes, laundry needs parallel processing. Doesn't it ever?
Yes.
But yeah, sorry, I just happened to look down and see that. But yeah, no, so there's that. Drawback. I think I almost have to kind of like turn to I don't know which Facebook users. And we'll probably keep it there because there's some like self-outing in that, so we'll let Facebook user be Facebook user for that one. I have to kind of turn there, and it's probably the biggest like literally the biggest drawback are the same conversation sometimes. Like, this is a multi-part answer. Either the same conversation with people who won't listen, the conversation in which it's like, oh God, that's the part you're going to focus on. Oh, okay, fine, we'll do this again. Or the like really condemnation filled conversation where it's like, okay.
Mhm.
Though I've gotten to the point I sometimes find the condemnation part more funny than annoying.
Right.
Because usually those are people that get their own selves in trouble by what they then say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've learned to also listen to people a little more and a little differently. Because sometimes the stuff that comes out of their mouth when they're condemning someone else's relationship can be jaw-dropping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, how can you deal with two people telling you what to do? Okay. I don't think that's how that works, but let's talk about your relationship because that seems to be how yours does.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Yeah.
That sounds problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
Is where I end up on that one sometimes. Is like, if you're going to like condemn my relationship, I now reserve the right to listen to what you say, because everyone has this thing. And I don't even think they realize they say it until they say it, and then someone like throws it back at them. And then they're like, ooh. And it's like, yeah, I think you got a relationship problem there, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think it's just two people telling someone what to do, then either you're in a relationship in which you're being bossed around, or you're the one bossing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's probably a thing we might want to discuss.
Right.
Like, hi, not to get too Freudian, but like, people, like, it's so funny sometimes the things people throw out are like, that's so much more telling about you.
Right.
Like, wow.
Yeah. And
Like,
I think one of your other drawbacks, because you're searching, um, I'm going to
no,
say,
I think I hit 4 drawbacks.
no, you hit 3.
Okay. 3
Read
and
a
3.
book.
That's as good as
Read a book.
Read a book. Oh, yeah. Like, I feel like I need an affiliate link in a QR code on a shirt that I literally have 7 of. The book is entitled Ethical Slut.
No, honey.
No, what?
This is
Yes.
one of your chief complaints on why there's now a rocker in my office.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you just want
Oh,
to go
okay.
read a book.
Well, now there is that. Okay, I see what you're saying. Sorry. No, I got drug in on the other one, which is how many flipping copies have we sold of The Ethical Slut?
I don't know, but I'm
Um,
writing the authors on.
yeah. But no, okay, so yeah, there is sometimes like I would say one of the biggest drawbacks is, at least under one roof, there's a lot going on here. And sometimes it's like, can everyone just fuck off and let me read a book? Like, sit down, shut up, stop talking, turn off both televisions or all 3 televisions or 4 televisions. I never have understood how we are 3 people in a house with, I don't know, what are we up to? 6 computers.
No, 8.
8 computers. 4 televisions, is that what it's at? 1, 2,
3.
3, 3 televisions. And there are moments where I feel like I'm just walking around like the quintessential parent going, turn off the fucking lights. Like, there's a YouTube video going here, there's a streaming show going there, there's a movie there, there's someone, and no one at it, and a game being played on this one, and a television show on that one right next to them. And I'm like, this house is like 1,800 square feet, and there are 12 screens, not counting phones, because those are being used too somehow. All doing something. All making noise, all with a moving picture, all with blah, blah, blah. And like, we're hitting that like round robin approach of volume upping. That this one turns up the volume, which is causing this one to now have a problem. So they turn up the volume. So now this one, oh my God, will everyone please get headphones and just have them implanted?
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. So yeah, that's the one that drives me crazy. Like, I'm not, it's like, I'm not mad, I'm just crazy. Because it's like, I don't understand how this happens or why, or yeah. I need a she shed.
Well, we've already decided you're getting a workshop and I'm getting a she shed.
Yes, basically. I'm getting a workshop. He's getting a she shed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because y'all guys think he's being flippant and funny, but no. Last night, one of my favorite people had a live stream running.
Mm-hmm.
I have the live stream pulled up on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And we are watching a show, and I have my phone running another live stream.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in two different live streams with an earbud on one side and another earbud, and watching a show and having a conversation. And he looks at me like I have lost my mind, and I'm like, I am a multidimensional being. I can be a multidimensional person.
Send help. That's all I got at this point, because I'm just sitting there like, even the dog is looking at you like, I don't know where the alien came from. I miss my owner. Will someone please throw the ball? Oh, I'm just saying. I can't. I am not. Multitasking for me is fucking up two or more things simultaneously.
Right.
I do not multitask. Now, when I say that, it depends upon the level of interaction I have to have. I can walk a client through any number of computer problems and cook dinner. I really can. It doesn't, like, I like macaroni and cheese. Like, it's got to be something I'm used to doing. Like, I can't start a new recipe. But if I'm sitting there doing something I've done multiple times, like cook dinner, and that's specific, like this specific meal I've cooked before, I know all the parts and components. I know what I'm doing next. It's second nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can sit there with a headphone on and talk to a client and be like, okay, so what we're going to do is,
Mm-hmm.
and go right through it. And side note, I've been known not to bill clients for that.
Mm-hmm.
And flippantly tell them anything I can do while also making dinner, I don't feel is worth me charging you for.
Right.
Like, have a great day.
Yeah. So Joe's having to deal with, multitasker master over here. Oh, yeah, and I was working in my planner, too, because that was what the conversation was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but, okay, so my turn. My three benefits. The freedom I get, because I don't have to deal with multiple things in my life.
I'm getting a refill.
Will you please get me one also?
Okay, will do.
Okay. So the freedom I get, I literally can do whatever I want. I don't have to check in with anybody. Um, they normally know what's going on. They know what the handles, but they also handle other things like the house. I I cook and grocery shop. That is my department, and I don't manage staffing. I don't manage lawn care. I write the checks or hand the money off, but I don't manage that. That's not my department. I don't have to manage vehicles and transportation. Not my department. This frees me to do other things. This also makes things more functional for me in my life so that I'm able to do things like the podcast, the networks, the private readings, the other stuff. So that's a benefit. The entertainment factor. I don't have to go and split my likes with who I'm dating. If I want to go to a science display and listen to a lecture, Techie's with me. If I want to go to the movies and watch the latest Avenger movie, the Invisible Assistant's with me. I don't have to sit through things I don't like to sit through because they can go together and do their thing or whatever. As you know, they have movies they just love to death. Me, not so much. They love TV. Me, not so much. I prefer the cinema. Actually, I prefer live theater, but it's hard to get tickets to Broadway in West Virginia. Um, so, they can go to the TV thing, the TV shows. We have streaming services. They love it. They get that interaction. I also don't have to worry about entertaining them because there is a certain amount of entertaining you have to do when you are with one-on-one person. You have to act like you're interested in the latest macra they're into or the latest techie gadget they've found. Them two link up and do it, and I'm like, oh, thank God. I can go back and work. That's my happy spot. I'm able to get more work done. That's my third benefit there. And I get get two different views of the same thing because they're able to give me feedback on things. So what is that? 4 benefits. Drawbacks. Drawback number 1, if you're wrong on multiple levels. And both of them will, and if you have healthy relationships, they should be able to point those out. So yeah, there are times they tag team me on things, and it's like, no, you're not working 70 hours a week. I will turn your phone off, and I will flip the breaker and turn your office off. They're able to give me different levels of support with my RA. They're able to do multiple things, and they've divided that up themselves. Like when I've worked myself into a tizzy, they will tag team. One will take care of medications and food. The other will take care of securing clients and stuff like that. One is my partner on the road. We go, we do things, we're in front of things, that type of thing. The other one's at home. He handles the kids, he handles the house, he handles whatever is related to it. He is happy to be the house husband. He enjoys it. He even brags about it. So he's happy with that. So we all three get things that one-on-one we wouldn't get in a monogamous lockdown relationship. Because let's face it, nobody can be your everything. No one can copy and be exactly what you need. So they are able to meet other needs. Oh, avoiding toxic energy, invading the relationship balance. A lot of that has to do with calling on the other. Like we have what we call bullshit, and we'll call bullshit. And that's when it's sit down, have a conversation. All right. Sounds like he's getting the Keurig moving. It works for us. It doesn't work for everybody else. It works for us because, and I've said this to people before. When looking at a partner for me, it is a 3-page application, and it's going to be a very hard position to fill. Okay. When looking at the facets that 2 or 3 people can take on, it's a very much easier bite to fill, you know. And a lot of people have what they think going into a relationship is automatic. And it's like, no, in this relationship model, we talk it out. We have to talk out everything. To get a housekeeper, to not get a housekeeper, to buy another car, to not buy another car, what type of car to get. Because I'll be honest, 6 months ago, if it was just me and another partner, there would be a fucking Cadillac sitting in my driveway. That doesn't work for my lifestyle. But it was pretty. Oh, it was so gorgeous, and it was a good deal, and nice engine, and a pretty car. Had all the features I wanted for me, but it doesn't. But they're like, okay, so you're going to take the dogs in this leather-seated car, and you're going to go hiking. How's that going to work? You want to take off and go camping? Yeah, I'm planning a camping trip. What's the big deal? What are you going to take them in? The Spitfire? You ain't got enough material there. You know, so that was one very common thing that we've looked at, and that's just one example. So sometimes the disadvantage is having the multiple debate going on, but it's also a benefit. The teaming up is sometimes a little much. The other drawback is people. Like, people thinking that, oh, so your relationship is this model, so yeah, you can go from being a V to a star. And it's like, no.
Well, and I would also like another thing that I have thought about to kind of throw in there is people get interesting on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do. Like they have some really wrong ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And like because we've gone into other shows and talked about like cowboying and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I'm just gonna put this out there. Generationally, there's a like it's generationally people open to like the relationship model tend to skew younger, like being really open to it and like actively searching it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like typically they also don't have like very little, if any, relationship at all experience.
Mm-hmm.
And like they also tend to want to just be like, okay, well, we'll make it a quad, we'll make it a like whatever. And it's like no.
Right.
No,
but if we look
no.
back in history, we can see models of polyamory. And if we look at more ancient, well, not ancient, but more long-term in situations, like if we go over to Israel and Afghanistan and look at Greece and Rome, polyamory was the relationship models.
Mm-hmm.
Easily. Maybe not as ethically as they are now, but they were there. Okay, so what are the 3 weirdest things someone's ever said to you about it?
I've had people that really couldn't get on board with the concept of Hinge.
Right.
And it like, on the one hand, I the only way I finally found to work that out is my boyfriend has a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with that. And we live together.
Mm-hmm.
And that tends to just shut everyone up. Like, they can't work out, like, their brain doesn't explode for that one.
Mm-hmm.
My boyfriend has a boyfriend and we all live together. Very quickly, one explains the situation. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand 1 + 1.
Mm-hmm.
That follows really well for what a hinge is.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we all live together very quickly fixes it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, somehow in their brain, it's like, well, if you can manage to live together and haven't killed each other, like, no one's up for a felony, no one's in a graveyard. Cool. You know, it tends to just, like, stop a lot of questions.
Right.
Like, you have more problems explaining to other people your relationship. Because the minute you say, I have 2 boyfriends,
Mm-hmm.
people's brains explode.
Well,
And, like, they have questions, so many questions, and they just typically never stop.
right.
Like, generally speaking, and it's, like, cool, like, questions we're cool with. Condemnation, we're not cool with. Like,
Right.
we'll take endless questions.
Right.
You know, I've gotten some weird questions in my life. Like, I don't think I've had anyone with polyamory question or say anything that actually hit the same ones I got for, like, when I came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got some out there ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, like, you know, if you can survive this, you can survive anything, I think.
Right.
You know, like, that was the harder out.
Right.
Or that was the harder experience, or the harder questions, or the harder thing, the harder,
Mm-hmm.
like, stupid shit people say moment.
Right.
You know, like, okay, cool. Trying to think, though, like, most of them I don't really like. I don't know. Oh, Princess Diana was quoted, there are 3 persons in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded. You know, I think if you're trying to have 3 people in one marriage, that would be a problem. That would most definitely, definitively be a problem.
Right.
Because if you have one relationship, because I think you fundamentally have to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Of, no matter how you slice this is 1 + 1.
Mm-hmm.
+1, maybe +1,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not +1.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, like, you know, this is like A + B + C, and then there may be A + C, but there doesn't have to be, and then A + F,
Mm-hmm.
you know, C + D,
Mm-hmm.
B + E + F + whatever. Like,
Right.
you have to remember it's all +1s. Like, you have to treat them as individual units.
Right.
Because otherwise you end up with 3 people in one relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't work.
Right.
I think that's probably the big misnomer, and the part that, like, if you try to explain,
Mm-hmm.
I think every time someone tries to explain it, that's the part they fuck up.
Right.
Is like, don't start at, we're in a relationship. No, you are not.
Right.
3 of you, 5 of you, 15 of you, however many it is, you are not in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Never, ever are you ever. You are in multiple relationships together.
Mm-hmm.
That part one makes more sense to people. I think it does less like of a brain glitch,
Mm-hmm.
but it also more accurately communicates.
Right.
Because no, all of these are independent beings
Mm-hmm.
of relationship.
Right. You know, and independent relationships.
Mhm.
One that I've had issues with, and you've seen the bear bitch come out on. is
Okay.
when they understand that, yeah, I'm open to multiple relationships and multiple relationships work, that automatically gives them credence to just walk into ours.
Yeah, no.
No.
Or more importantly, what they think they get or are potentially like interviewing for, should we say,
Mm-hmm.
like is an orgy.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Pump your brakes real flippin' fast.
Right.
Like, there are so many things wrong there.
Yeah.
Like, just don't even
Right.
start at that concept that you are talking to one person in two relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that inherently means if you walk, for any reason, were to walk into this situation, that one, it's a never ending orgy,
Mm-hmm.
or two, that you will be invited to participate in a never ending orgy amongst three people.
Mm-hmm.
That is wrong on so many levels.
Right.
And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go ahead and put it this way as well. If you think that a polyamorous relationship is all about the sex, I will tell you right now, he could hire two prostitutes and have a much better time.
Right.
Just point blank. That, because then that becomes a transactional relationship all about that.
Right.
Like, no.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other part of that is they like to blend you two. And I'm like,
Oh my God. Well, that's okay. We're hitting the point in our relationship. One of the neighbors thinks I am you.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, well, until she gets up close.
Uh-huh.
And then it's all of a sudden like, oh, you're not him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. There's a
Like,
few that I believe that there's only one person here.
orgy because of money occurs, not easy to handle. Yeah, no. Yes, and it is very conceited. It's very conceited, entitled, and a lot of other words
Mm-hmm.
to assume any of that.
Right.
Like, it's a bad choice. And also, you like, there's that divorced woman effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like and I'm talking about a concept that I don't think is as popular anymore. It used to be a big ordeal. Rated X,
Mm-hmm.
the song, basically dealt with that. Is that, effectively once a woman had been married, then and divorced, that she was just a whore.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of her virtue was gone,
Mm-hmm.
and so it didn't matter how you treated her. There's a lot of people that kind of take that approach, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
Not a good life plan. Like, you're really focusing on the wrong parts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like if we were in an orgy together, we would have said we are in orgy together and directly communicated the sexual aspects
Right.
of a situation. So the fact that we didn't start there
Mm-hmm.
should have been your bright flashing light that maybe that wasn't like what the situation is. This is not rated X.
Right.
You don't have to.
Right. But the other part of that is, and it hilariously makes me laugh, is when they think that if they talk to one of us, they talk to all three of us.
No, you are not. We are three independent human beings with fully separate, independent opinions, and no. No.
Uh-uh.
I, at best, can say, I think
Mm-hmm.
I no, there's at least enough respect to not be like, he will.
Right.
Because what I'm going to tell him to? Because I'm going to order him? Like, I don't get it. I don't know where people, like...
Yeah.
Like, I don't follow some people's logic, like how that works.
Well,
unless there's like another side of the universe I don't know about.
Well, that's what I don't get. The other part that we get, and it's the obverse of that, is what one isn't enough for you. Hell no, one isn't enough for me. I'm a freaking 5-star restaurant, baby.
Okay. Well, there's that. Yeah. But no, and he has to multitask everything. He really does.
Yeah.
He has to multitask everything.
Yeah. All right. So read the question we got, and then let's talk about it.
Alrighty, so that's the big one up here a little bit.
1131.
Alrighty, how do you two stay strong against other people's strong opinions about sexuality and marriage, etc.? I prefer men, but I would say I'm bisexual, but because of the people around me, I feel like I have to let the side of me, that side of me, stay in the closet. So I admire you both of your strength. I think part of it for me is I don't know why I'm bi. LOL, researching. Okay, well, there's a lot of things going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's start with like, thank you. Mm-hmm. That's very cool. I don't know that I think of it as a strength. I don't know where you are on that one. It's like, it just is.
I don't think it's a strength, but I also have the opinion of the 4Fs.
Well, I typically go with, I don't have the strength to lie that much.
Right.
Like, if you want to put it in a different perspective, I just don't have the fortitude to spend that much time lying, really. Like, it's a real pain in the ass.
Right.
Like, I don't necessarily go out of my way to make people uncomfortable.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, I just don't have the bandwidth.
Right.
And it's like, I don't have the strength. It's too much. It really, and I've seen it cave people to like, because invariably, it will start to become its own menacing nightmare. And I've seen it do it to people, and it will, even in the situations that like I've found myself in. Where it's like, okay, obviously this situation is not going to go well.
Right.
So I'm just going to, pass my way out of this one and go right along.
Right.
And it's still really, really taxing.
Right.
So there's that aspect. I don't necessarily see it as a strength, but anyway, back to you.
I don't see it as a strength, but I have a very strong idea, and this is my idea, and my opinion on people. If they aren't meeting the 4Fs, they don't get an opinion. If you don't know what the 4Fs is, we'll cover them very quickly. If they aren't financing me, paying my bills, if they aren't feeding me, and if they ain't fucking me, then they get the 4th F. Which means they don't get a fucking opinion.
There you go. So yeah. Now, okay. Then we break down into the, I prefer men, but I would say I'm bisexual, but because of the people around me, I feel like I have to let the side of me stay in the closet. If you choose to do that, you can choose to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Make sure you're making a choice, not being forced to do something.
Right.
Because being forced to do something is typically very taxing on people.
Right.
And it generally ends up breeding more resentment and problem over time than you would have if you argued it out.
Right.
I'm not saying that always is a perfect like definition there, but typically, like if you like, I don't know where you're at age wise, life wise, etc. But if you're like, for instance, if you like have the dawning realization at say 16 and you make that choice to, you know, or you feel forced to make that choice, like many 16-year-olds might, you know, and you're doing that for a couple of years until you're out of school, out of the house, into your own employment, into paying your own bills, and, you know, which I typically recommend to people.
Right.
Like, and that falls into the 4Fs kind of theology or mentality of, you know, these are people who are making sure that you are financed, fed, and, well, hopefully not doing the third one. But at least those two, financed, fed, roof over your head, paying for tuition, paying for car insurance, paying for the car, keeping a phone turned on in your name, all of those things. That's a choice a lot of people have to make, and one that I generally like, until you can stand on your own 2 feet, stay where you are.
Right.
You know, that's an okay place to be. Just know you're going to have to unpack some stuff later. Now, once you're out on your own 2 feet and you are not reliant on someone else, then you have the opportunity there to choose differently.
Right.
And it can be very cumbersome to feel like I'm potentially shutting down all of my resources. And that does happen.
Right.
God knows Mormons are good for it.
Right. But here's the other thing. And this is what I call the point-to-point thing. We don't have to take out newspaper ads. It's nobody's business what goes on anywhere.
Right.
For one. And then the other, why are you bi? Here's the base reason why you're bi. Your pheromone receptacles, some are positive, some are negative. You have ones that are neutral, some that are positive, some that are negative on the polarity scale. Everyone has a polarity of one or the other or both or somewhere within that spectrum.
Okay. Well, and then, and like bisexual, pansexual, demisexual, I think. That also, there's other aspects to consider. For some people, because there's sexuality, then there's romantic.
Right.
And that's also a secondary place to go to and figure out where you're at there. Because that can make some big differences. And it also can change a lot of things for people. Some people are bisexual, and that was the only word for it for many, many years. And it just covered the entirety because we weren't having conversations about, you know, types of romantic. Right. Some people are aromantic but sexual. Right. Side note. Some people are asexual but romantic. If you can have one, you can have the other. I will argue that to my dying day.
Right.
And what that would mean is you have a sexual attraction without a romantic attraction, or you have a romantic attraction without a sexual one.
Right.
Now, in that, you will run into people that are bisexual, bi-romantic. They can have a romantic relationship with either. They can have sex with either. Same thing kind of falls into the pan category as well. You can extrapolate. So that we're not going through all these individually. But now there's also people who are specifically bisexual, but say heteroromantic or homoromantic. They only have a romantic attraction to one, not the other. And vice versa on the sexual side. You know, there are people that are biromantic but heterosexual. And vice versa. You get the idea. That's an additional thing. Like, take your time with that one. It can take a while. And especially if you're not out and you're also considering coming out, or at least exploring whether you actually come out or not, you know, be careful. And I say be careful because it can be very overwhelming when you have, and this is my downside to, like, if you're gonna, you know, you can choose this and be careful with it, is that if you decide to pursue, it can be very overwhelming, like life upsetting, burn your bridges, trash your world. And it's like new relationship energy, NRE, on steroids. Because you're taking something that you've been denied, giving it license to exist, and you are typically flying really blind. Both blind to the costs and blind to the person. So you can very easily get into a situation where you're gonna have regrets.
Right.
So always take a breath, take a breather, be very, very careful.
Right.
And if you feel like you at any point are about to, like, burn your bridges because fuck this shit, fuck that shit, fuck their static, fuck this, take a breath.
Right.
Take a big, long breath. And think carefully about what you're doing and why you're doing it and how. And try to, like, work through that very carefully. But if you do decide to stay in the closet, I think my biggest suggestion is you really may want to consider therapy to help work through that. Because you are going to develop resentments. You are going to develop, and I'll guarantee it, you will, this is not a may, this is a you will begin to resent people and, you know, all around you in your life. Because if you're sitting there, and I don't know which people you specifically mean around you, but you say because of them, parents, spouses, children, if you're all going, I can't come out because mom and dad would just drop dead, and my spouse would immediately leave me, or, you know, harm me, or I would lose my kids, I would, like, whatever it is, you're making a choice right now out of wanting to keep that connection, but eventually you're also going to feel like that connection is what's keeping you from making a choice. Really. That you feel like right now you're choosing, but you're not really choosing. It's like making a choice with a gun to your head. You have a lot to lose, and it's not a real choice. It's coercion. To a degree, it's not they don't know they're doing this. But then on the flip side, anytime you deal with someone who has a gun to their head, you can only push someone with a gun to their head so far. before the risk of the gunshot isn't really that much of a threat anymore.
Right.
And then those are the people that are really dangerous. Because if you're not afraid of the gun to your head, oh, that's a lot of fearlessness to have.
Mm-hmm.
And that can lead you to make some very outrageous choices and such.
Right. Okay. So
Those are my thoughts.
right. So my follow-up recommendations and warnings on things.
Mm-hmm.
More than 2 people. Trash book. Burn it.
Okay, I was going to say, wait, when did we start recommending that one?
We don't.
Because we fucked up and tried to use that one.
Oh my god, that book was a lot of issues. Created a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it promotes some things that they look good on paper.
Mm-hmm.
They sound good.
Uh-huh.
And they'll even work for a hot minute.
Right.
They will. Until they don't. And then when they fail spectacularly.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically creates the situation that no, you don't want to be in. Because it's ugly.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ugly, like when that book fails and the things it promotes fail.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those are things like hierarchical relationships.
Right.
So for instance, in that scenario, in this Hinge setup,
Mm-hmm.
his relationship with whoever was first would be the primary.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever comes next is the secondary. And whoever comes third is the tertiary. And then you're supposed to treat the relationships in order of importance that way. And so, like, me being in the hospital having surgery is always going to be less important than the primary relationship, like wanting donuts. Because that relationship's more important, and it's more important to take care of that relationship and to feed and nurture it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it gets really pedantically stupid
And
when you actually play it out.
Right. And with that, it also comes veto power.
Mm-hmm.
Hierarchy, veto power. So, you do forget to pick up pizza for the invisible assistant, and he can look and go, move the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have no say in it.
Yeah. Like that, it on paper,
mm-hmm.
And especially for like an existing couple relationship that is new to this, it can very much feel like training wheels
mm-hmm.
that go onto their relationship to hold it up while they go out there and explore this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that it's inherently bad if you were talking about a committed long-term couple that is just going to dip their toe into this.
Mm-hmm.
And like the goal isn't to date and the goal isn't to, but the minute you go to kick that training wheel off a couple and turn it into some form of like a hinge, a throuple, a triad, or whatever you want to call it, a box, there's all kinds
of a W, a star, whatever. It's like you have to have a fucking map to make a decision.
Yeah, once it becomes a relationship, once there's any one more relationship established, those training wheels will not work. They will create a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
They will either cause a lot of pain and resentment leading to divorce, or they will create a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are really about the only two things you get. Like, a lot of couples that try to start there with the hierarchical model blow up.
Right. And that's when they're
Like, I don't think I've seen a single hierarchical last long term. Those always, and when I say blow up, like, now poly is known, and I will say that's a drawback and a serious consideration, is that polys are known for when shit blows up, it goes nuclear.
right.
Like, it is like layer after layer after layer of explosion sometimes. That's it's not just one divorce, it's like 5 divorces. All at once. So there's that. But especially the hierarchical ones, when those blow up, and they are more prone to, non-hierarchical poly has, like, it still blows up sometimes. It has, and it can be bad. And I've just described that as like 5 divorces. When hierarchical blows up, it is usually like 10.
Right.
And there's more of those explosions
Yeah.
that occur because of the hierarchical model than there are in non-hierarchical.
Right.
Like, non-hierarchical may blow up. I will almost always guarantee hierarchical will blow up. I do not know a long term.
Right.
Like, I can't think of a one. I know some people that describe themselves that way, but they abandoned it.
Yeah.
Like, or, yeah. Like, they may still, like, think in those terms a little, but they don't really do it. Like, those are the ones that are okay, that's okay. Like, I think you're a little diluted and you need to go back and rethink this some more and get your terms right, but okay, cool, awesome.
Right.
But when, like, yeah. But it's usually an ugly blow up.
It's a very ugly blow up. And then you have, my top recommendation is The Ethical Slut. It is on edition 5, I believe. I don't know what cover the purple one is. It's either 5 or 6. Amazing relationship book for everyone.
Yeah, and the reason it is up to version 5 is because there's been some changes.
Right.
Like, more than 2. Have they even gotten to a second?
I don't know. I stopped
edition?
following when the writer went to jail for abuse.
Well, and that's probably everything you need to know about if you're taking relationship advice from someone who went to prison for abuse. Your mileage is going to significantly vary.
It's not even gone to version 2. It is still at version 1.
Yeah. So, yeah. And so, yeah, Ethical Slut has multiple editions purely because it has made revisions along the way.
Right.
That there were things that were either added, or there were things that were reworked, or there were things that, like, it went in there and sort of like we're saying, it was cute. It was a theory. It sounded great. And a lot of people came back and went, what the fuck?
Right. Well, not only that, but terms changed.
That too.
Yeah. The alphabet changed. The types of relationships changed terminology-wise.
Well, there's that as well.
Okay.
But there's also some stuff in it that has changed because, either, like, it was a great idea, but or no, here's actually how this works better.
Right.
Like, someone else came back and said, hey, okay, yeah, I see what you're trying to say.
That's not actually how it works. Yeah.
That's not it.
Right. And then, of course, another book I think if you are in a relationship, you should read, and then make the person you're dating read. But give them a pop quiz later.
Oh, God. Not a pop quiz. Okay.
More Love, Less Conflict. We've had him on the Psychic Coffee Shop. That book in itself changed the way I communicate with my partners. I understand the communication with my partners. Brought up the revisioning when it's like, okay, so we talked yesterday about budget and the problems we're having with budgeting. What'd you get out of it? Did you hear me? Did you get this? Or are you coming back up and going back to me and going, so we talked yesterday about the curtains. Yeah. What about the curtains? What's your thoughts on them again today? Have you changed your opinions? Where's your viewpoints? What you hear versus did you listen to me?
Well, or just the sheer, like, I know what I said yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
but in deeper thought,
Yeah.
I really don't like those.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I liked them. I really thought I liked them. I thought I was cool with this, but...
No. Right.
And I like, that's an important thing, I think, throughout, like, relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Is, like, stop asking what your final answer is.
Yeah. Because the final
Like,
answer
I don't think
is
anyone... Well, I think it's more so, like, I don't think anyone ever really has a final answer.
Right.
Like, that's where I'm starting to get to in my life. Is that final answer, like, that was a cool like, game show thing. Humans don't really typically have those. Like, shit changes.
Yeah.
Like, and it may be the same answer for, like, 10 years, and that's cool. That's great. And I think for a lot of people, that's what it is. And then you wake up one morning and you just look at something and you're like, I fucking hate that.
Right.
Like, I don't know that I've loved it for a while, but I really fucking hate it today.
Right. And
like,
the other thing is the organized money or any budget planner, get 2 or 3. Don't care. And go through it. And that's because then there is not this debate and this argument over, your financial goals, your financial plans, where you as a couple are moving financially, where you as a person is moving financially. Though that will cut out a lot of your problems. Because Joe can look at the budget plan and go, no, us buying a car right now is not a good idea. That's not even in my goalpost right now.
Yeah.
We don't have the means. We don't have this. And he knows it. And this is when he wasn't even writing the checks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some things I just do automatically.
Right.
Like, I've always made, like, my sister's head explode.
Mm-hmm.
My sister is an Excel sheet queen for budgeting.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time she tried to do it to me, I was like, this is really, really more than I need.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm a rounding number human.
Right.
I like rounding numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Because if something's $13 and I turn it into 15, what is the worst thing that happens when I subtract it out of, my check?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's the thing. I always rounded income down and expenses up.
Right.
And so if I'm looking at this amount of income and that amount of expenses, where am I at?
Mm-hmm.
Have I gone negative?
Right.
Because if I actually, like, to me, if I have to sit there and balance to the penny
mm-hmm.
to make my life happen,
mm-hmm.
I feel I fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just too tight for me.
Right. And
it means
where we differ.
Yeah.
I need real numbers. I need to be able to really focus on the numbers. And so this is where we differ. Like,
yeah,
220 is not a real number. 218.85 is a real number and is one I can deal with.
Yeah. Well, and Mary's pointing out IRS and other financial reports round numerical data up.
Well, we both know the IRS is fucked up, and if my bank starts rounding numbers up, I'm going to start killing them.
Well, it depends upon what number they round up and to what extent.
Well, you know they're going to round it to their benefit, and it'll be the debits.
Oh, true. But anyway, okay. So, but no, I'm just saying that because the reason I've always liked that, and especially like grouping expenses, is I can track 5 categories or 6 categories of expenses. And, you know, so like we sit down for the week, and this is what we did, was there's one number for the utilities. There's one number for household spending, which is kind of a bigger blanket category, or is a bit of a like a la carte category, so to speak, of things we do every single week over and over and over and over and over again. So take the utilities plus that have to go out that week, the money we know we're going to spend because we always spend it, budget for groceries, eating out, and miscellaneous spending. Okay, I can quickly throw those together, and so now I have a weekly number that I know doesn't really change, or if it does, it's a big thing. Plus the variable utilities, cell phone, like rent a center, or the water bill this week, and the sewer bill, and the cell phone bill, the things that we bill out every month. Add those two numbers together, and it's like we're not there,
right?
Or we're there and we're good. Like mentally, that works for me. That I think drives you a little batty.
Insane.
But for me, it's like, okay, I know that like we went to the grocery store 5 times, and it was like $50 each time. Like if I can look down and be like 49, 53, 32, okay, then I think we're done. That like there's not that much left in groceries, if anything. We might be $1 or $2 over. I don't know. But I know that no, we can't go to the grocery store till we math that out without it being an overage. Like there's very little likelihood we're going to go do that and not like zero this out or make it go way over. And those are like the quick thoughts I like to be able to have, that like I don't have to think too hard. It's like I'm looking at it, I don't think we should do that right now. Or like the eat out budget. And be like, okay, I see a lot of transactions there. I think we're already over.
Right.
Like, because that's the one place like we will spend and then figure it out later.
Right.
The most. As in more frequently. Because it is sometimes like a lot of different transactions. Like you're eating out independently. I'm eating out independently. We're eating out together. We're getting stuff for the house. We're, it gets hit hard.
Right. It gets hit hard. But it gets hit with a lot of small numbers that will look like a lot of money, but when it adds up, it's like $50.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're over our eat out budget. And I'm like, no, we still have $100 left in it. We have $98.95.
Yeah, but that one is the one I'm more likely to keep stopping and checking, because it's like, okay, $10 and $5 and $6 and $8 and $12 and $32 and okay, I need a total. Like, too many numbers. I need to see where we're at.
Right.
And that is where rounding would make a big mess.
Yeah.
And I understand that, and I'm cool with that. But that prompts me to be like, okay, you got to go total that
Yeah.
and see like where that's at.
Yeah. Yeah. So it takes a good bit. So yeah, but you got to have a budget conversation. You've got to have those hard conversations. You can't just go, oh, well, we'll just figure it out as we go. No, you will. I've seen my parents do this. This is why this house ended up with 3 different mortgages. Is because mom was doing her thing, dad was doing his, and both of them had different financial goals. It will blow up every relationship I ever see.
Well, and it's not that you will ever always have the same financial goals.
Right.
You're blending. You're
Right.
always blending.
Right. And you're negotiating and pavloving or whatever, need basing the goals.
Well, yeah, and I think you always have to be a little flexible there and get over the idea that you're going to hit everything exactly when you want to hit it, and everything's going to run perfectly, and nothing's ever going to go wrong. You know, it's going to end up how it ends up.
Right. And that happens with relationships. Every relationship goes through shit. Every relationship can have a knockdown drag out over coffee.
Yeah. And it's the relationship with your money.
Yeah.
Like, it's a relationship. You got to realize that. Like, it can be an abusive relationship. It can be a, like, overindulgent relationship. It can be a one-sided relationship. Like, that's the only one I would call, like, that's the only way you're ever having, like, 3 people in a relationship. And it's, yeah, I think the Princess Diana quote is, it's very crowded here. But because there's more than 3 people in that.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of moving parts in that one, especially ours.
Right.
Because he has so many different revenue streams and the number of people required to that are working for companies that have different holiday schedules, that have different banks, that have more or fewer delays, that, you know, all of these, like, there are so many people technically in our finances. It's a fucking circus tent. Like, it's a clown car of, like, different people involved in this, between the banks, the credit card companies, the this, the that, the. It is a lot of different things, and it can be abusive. It can be bad. It can be toxic. It can be ugly. It can be great. Right now, today, but just go to hell tomorrow.
Right.
You know, like, so to speak, kind of like one day your finances are great, and then the next day you wake up and your finances apparently have an addiction problem.
Right.
And, like, they're all gone, and, you know, it can be something like a furnace or a roof or, you know, and it's like, boom, there went some goals.
Right.
Because those were built without that.
Right. All right, y'all. We hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you like the style we're taking with taking a topic here and a topic there and giving our thoughts and advice on them. And in baristas, you know, you have the ability, because you are a barista, to go in and comment topics you want our viewpoint on. The next non-author show, we're discussing the Mandela effect.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. But yeah. Alrighty. Well, of course, we want to thank our Patreon sponsors. You guys are great. We love our baristas. You really do help us do so much. And specifically, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Ashley Gist, Shannon C, Shannon D, the ever wonderful Lady Gwendolyn, and Charles Shaw. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon and become one of our baristas and receive all the wonderful benefits that they do, please check us out on pcspnetwork.com.
Yeah. And remember, we're back next week, Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. on your favorite broadcasting stations. And I want to say hello to New Zealand. We've been trending down there. How you doing in your lovely spring? Until then, good night, y'all.
Good night.
This is the calm before the storm. You know what's coming, so be warned. You can't stop me now.